Hello, and welcome back to the house in Fata Morgana. Give it a few minutes, see who hops in, and then we'll get started. Isn't that right, kitty? Hey. Good kitty. Good kitty. Oh, so sweet. Hello, Jeff, Freya, Atris. Welcome. Gandalf, say hi. Here, say hi. Give me your foot. And you can say hi. No? No, he doesn't want to say hi. Hey, Billy, Lobsaw, Pablo. Finally got up and can join. Well, that's good. I don't know how far we're going to make it today because I killed my voice last week reading so much of this story, which I'm enjoying myself, obviously. I'm loving it. But, it was not good. So we may not read more than maybe 2 hours today, unfortunately. But better to take it slow. Thanks for joining me. We dropped off with the end of the Mafia story, the third door. So I think we're actually going to have a little bit of I think we explore the mansion a little bit in this one. I think we finally get to walk around and do things rather than just listen to stories. If I remember correctly. I think that's this part. But we'll give it another minute and see if more of the usual folks hop in. You're still staring at the door. Are you waiting for me to get up and let you out? Why do you want to leave? Why don't you want to play with us anymore? Huh? Kitty. Kitty, 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 kitty. Kitty, 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 kitty. Kitty, 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 kitty. Don't go. Don't go, kitty. Mwah. See, everybody loves you, Gandalf. Yes. Hello. You're so affectionate. You can't have coffee, though. That would be bad for Kitty. Aww. You're the sweetest. You still can't have coffee, I'm sorry. That would be terrible. Pippin got into coffee once. She ran laps around the living room. She was younger. Way younger. 2 or 3, I think. Yeah, just a sip. I don't want to know what you'd do. No caffeine for Kitty. Surprised you haven't gone for my cereal bowl. You love milk. Hey, Flame King. I'm alright. Been very busy this weekend with things I didn't mean to be busy with, but, you know, life happens. And then my voice also was... It wasn't that bad, but I was definitely stretching it for sure, reading that long. But the stories are so good. Alright, we'll get started. Oops. No, go back. Well, I don't know what I did. I guess too late. The doors slammed shut, is what I think it said, so. He could no longer hear the raucous sounds of the men from within the den. The men from within the den. The faint scent of cigarette smoke, however, lingered in the air. Huh? Staring vaguely at the closed door, he noticed something was amiss. The maid, who had been holding the departed's hand, was no longer at his side. So this is that part. The departed glanced around, but she was nowhere in sight. Down the corridor stretched only darkness. Not having anticipated this, he was unsure how to react. It's interesting for folks that haven't played this. This is my second playthrough, and apparently having played it twice, the game changes. I don't think it changes so much that you're not having the same experience, but there's just little stuff. In the original game, up to chapter 5, when the character really remembers who they are, the game refers to the player as you. So this sentence would have been, not having anticipated this, you are unsure how to react. It does that throughout. So it kind of makes it feel like, 1, you're the person playing, and 2, it lessens the identity of the main character, because at this point the main character doesn't have an identity. You know, it isn't until later that the person remembers who they are and kind of becomes a person, becomes a character. Up until this point, it was just you. So it's just really interesting to see the story from the perspective of knowing the whole time that it is a person and not just a stand-in for us. What's the matter? You lost, or are you just trying to take in the sights? A voice called out to the departed, but it was not the maid's voice. What? Caught off guard, he spun around, confused, in search of the source. Where are you looking? I'm over here. Yeah, there you go. Little more to the left. Following the voice's instructions, he found himself facing a wall. The painting speaks. What do I do? You look like you've just seen a ghost. Hey now, come on, don't turn away. Are you really? Hey, Javelin. Yep, you've got it. I'm the one talking to you. The voice was coming from within the painting, which you'll realize last time we saw the painting, it was a landscape. Now it's like all black and gross looking. When the departed had passed by this wall on his way to the third door, a magnificent landscape painting had been hanging there. But now the canvas was a deep shade of black, as if it had been dipped into a vat of ink. Been a while since I've talked to anyone. So tell me, you can hear me all right, can't you? Hey, Delvin. I can hear you. Splendid. Been so long since I've had a conversation, I was afraid I might have forgotten how to talk. So tell me, who might you be? I don't know. I don't know anything. You don't know? Well, isn't that quite the pickle? Then how about we have a little chat, eh? You got yourself turned around and aren't sure where to go, yeah? Well, I'll be happy to tell you anything I can. Just ask away. The painting sounded rather high-spirited. Perhaps he was simply excited to have the opportunity to speak with someone. So the departed decided he would ask the painting a few questions. Who are you? Me? Well, as you can see, I'm a painting. Why? Why did I end up as a painting? Hard to say. Maybe I was reborn as a painting because I used to really like art. Though there are things I painted that I wish I hadn't. Maybe that regret's what turned me into this. Hopefully, I get the chance to apologize to him about that. Anywho, no point in getting into any more detail than that. Wouldn't mean anything to you. So enough about me. All right, you don't know anything about yourself. A shame, that. Hey, Leon. Hey, Avian Jupiter. Yeah, there's some important things being dropped right now that make a lot of sense in retrospect. I'm not going to give any spoilers, but I think it would be cool to say, having played it twice, I think now the painting knows who you are. I am almost certain. Can it see? I don't know. I don't think the painting ever says if he can see, so maybe he doesn't know. But if he can see, then he probably would know. Curious. All right, then, a favor for you, since you can't tell me about yourself. If you run into him, could you tell him I really regret what I did? Oh, I know I should tell him myself, but, well, as you can see, regret. I'm stuck here, can't move an inch, so I've got to ask for help. I feel absolutely terrible about painting that picture. I know, yeah, the deadline's way past on that one, but that's what makes it regret, yeah, because you can't take it back. By the time I had realized, it was too late. He was already dead. He's long since passed away. How? Huh? How are you supposed to give a dead fellow a message? Well, for all you know, the dead could be wandering these halls too. Perhaps. So please, if you come across him, tell him I said that I didn't mean any harm with that painting. There's no background music? Can y'all not hear anything? Let's see what my property settings are. Cancel that. Nothing? Oh, great. This might... No, we're plugged in. What is wrong? because it's catching audio on here. Yeah, no, it's playing some quiet piano. I'll turn it up a little bit, see if that helps, but I have a feeling that something... I wonder if it's this. Default, default, default. Output, input. Oh, I wonder... Okay, let's see. Advanced audio device. What is my audio device? It doesn't make sense that it's putting out audio to me, but it's not putting out audio to you guys. And it's reading that it's getting audio. Why do we always have problems? Okay. Capture audio. Properties. It's not saying... This is so weird. How did I feel like we've had this problem before. How did I... Okay, let's see. Desktop device, desktop audio device, default. Mic, Bluetooth thing. Okay. This is really weird because we streamed yesterday and the audio worked fine. Or the day before we watched a movie and it was fine. I haven't changed any settings. Did that do it? Did that change anything? Come on. Nope. Damn it. Okay. It says it's hearing things, so what is not... Default, default, default. OBS, because the default is the... Okay, what? That's not doing anything. Doesn't make any sense. Alright, let me try this. Okay, do y'all hear anything right now? I'm gonna Google this. Let me know if that setting change fixed anything. OBS, no audio.
Sorry, I don't understand.
I wasn't talking to you! My Alexa thing just apparently thought I was speaking to it. No audio output on stream. Get rid of that. No music. So now I can't hear it and you can't hear it. So changing that didn't change anything. Why can I hear it when I put this on, but y'all can't? Alright, let's see. No audio when live streaming. Please help me figure this out. Blah, blah, blah. Does blah, blah, blah. Does... Should be adding... That doesn't make any sense. It shouldn't need that. It's never needed that. So this is the issue. Currently running. Playback, blah, blah, blah. I checked with all blah, blah, blah. Your output settings. Output settings. Output settings? Streaming, enable, encoder. None of this is helpful. Output mode. Stream general. This is so weird because I haven't changed anything since we watched on frickin'... We watched a movie a day ago. Did I change any settings for the movie? Advanced audio. Audio monitoring device, speakers, Logitech. Default. Did that do anything? Did I turn it on and off again? I may turn the stream off and fix... If this doesn't fix itself in a minute or two. I may have to turn it off and see what's going on. None of these are helping. Nope, no change. Great! Woo! That's sad. There's some really pretty audio, some really pretty piano playing right now. I don't get what audio monitoring are you using? Okay. It's doing monitor and output. Okay. How? This is really confusing. What? Is there a filter? No. Is there... Oh, good. Well, now I can't hear anything either, so that's cool. And the video's gone, so that's helpful. I'm glad we did that. I'm glad this helped. Definitely. Deactivate, activate. Did nothing. Go back to defaults. Okay, the image is back. Can you hear anything? Welcome, folks who have just been hopping in. Any change? Did that do anything? Nothing? Wow, okay. What the fuck? Okay, well now actually, maybe if I changed it to, let's try that and see if that does anything. Oh, Jesus, loud. How about now? I've had to turn off the video capture audio and make it come out of the computer. Okay, that did it. I've never had to do that before, but for some reason, usually the card itself transfers the video and audio in one... It's kind of hard to explain. It transfers it together. I had to separate them, so now it's transferring the audio and the video in separate channels, which I've never had to do before. So strange, but anyway. Let's put that there now since Gandalf's decided to leave us. Alright, let's move this and get back to the story. Maybe you are him. Oh, okay! Okay, that line was definitely not in the first version. Because I was just wondering if the painting knows who we are. And it just said, maybe you are him, the person that the painting wants to apologize to. So he's not sure. Interesting. Just because you don't know who you are doesn't mean you can go around asking other people. Is a painting a person? I'm not a person, you say. Well, no, you're right, but I'm not gonna know anything about you that you can't tell me yourself. I mean, from where I'm standing, you almost look like a walking cloud of shadow. Ooh. I can't even tell you what you look like, so he can't... Okay. I do. The maid who was with you before, did she call you master? Yes. I see, but the question is, which era's master are you? How many doors have you been through? 3. 3 doors, eh? And of those, did any of them bring anything back? Nothing. Ah, well, it's not an easy thing recovering yourself. Or maybe you weren't behind any of those 3 doors. I wasn't. Yeah, that's gotta be it. That was your first time witnessing those tragedies. Yours is another door. So tell me, how'd you feel looking behind those doors? Was it frightening, saddening, heart-wrenching? Well, let me tell you something. You were able to bear them because they weren't your tragedies. If the next door you open is yours, will you be able to bear it? Will you be able to accept your own tragedy? It's one thing seeing others suffering, but your own? If you have to face emotions you wanted to keep buried, Secrets you wanted to keep hidden away, and pain you wanted to forget? Do you think you'll be able to accept them as your own? If you can't, I wouldn't blame you. I wouldn't accuse you of running if you chose not to reclaim your old self. So you see, we're building up to a choice, because this game has 8 different endings. I don't know what all of them are, but I know some. And there's an option to avoid facing the truth, and an option to figure out who you really are no matter how much it hurts. Which, going by the 3 stories we've just finished, what's the best option? If they had faced the truth, would they have been happier? Nothing wrong with erasing your memory of something if it was so bad you didn't want to face it in the first place. Let it be rewritten as someone else's story. That'll make it a whole lot easier on you. Because you never know. The most unfortunate tale of all may well be your own. Or perhaps that goes for everything about you. Is the weight I bear truly so great? If so, then what am I supposed to do? But I have not yet seen it, so... You won't know till you see it. Well, that's true enough. But once you do, there might not be any turning back. Or do you mean to reclaim your old self no matter the cost? If you do, if you're sincerely prepared to do that, then be wary of the tale that comes next. What? Any tragedy that seems too beautiful to be real is precisely that. A fabrication. A fabrication? If it turns out you're someone from behind the next door, then perhaps you're my... So many curious things. Is the next one going to be as painful as the Jacopo one? No. No, it's not. Which maybe is a hint to you. He just said, if it's too beautiful, it's a lie. Oof, talk about some hard-hitting questions. I'm probably not the one who will be able to answer that for you. What did I ask? I forgot. I don't have a very deep connection with this mansion, you see. I find that difficult to believe. I swear it, I got nothing to gain from lying, do I? It's my regrets that have turned me into this. I wasn't summoned here by no one. Does that mean the next one is happy? No. That said, there is one thing I can tell you. This place summons people. People who have ties to something that happened long, long ago. Summons. No one knows anything even happened. I didn't know either, till she told me. Though I haven't the foggiest how much of it's true or not. Are you here because you were summoned by her? Or did you come here of your own will to find someone? I still don't know. They're all happy if you have enough disdain for people who live in mansions. But someone was calling for me. Sad, despairing cries. If you came here of your own volition and you weren't summoned by her, then mayhaps you'll be the one who can break. Who can break what? The curse? Gandalf, come hang out with us. You're not leaving. It's forbidden. Who is the maid? Might as well ask her that directly. I tried, but she won't say till you regained your old self. Right. I see. Well, in that case, if you want to know, you know what you gotta do. It's entirely up to you whether you make an ally or an enemy out of her. There's no guaranteeing she's even right in the head. What? You never know. Maybe you're not the only one who hasn't found themselves. Oh, big clue. Big clue. Haven't talked that much in a long time. Feels great. And now that I've got that out of my system, I should be able to get some good sleep. Okay, theory time. The white-haired girl is tied to the white-haired dude from the flashback. I think he's a fallen angel and the house is some kind of purgatory making people repent for sins. Interesting. We'll see. I feel even more lost than I was before. You're probably still wandering in the dark right now, but I really hope you find the outcome you want. And I mean that. You can either reclaim your old self, or you can toss it aside. The choice is yours either way. Now, since it looks like your escort isn't showing up, what do you plan to do next? What should I do? How about taking a look around the place, since you've got a little free time? Could be you come across some things you wouldn't with her around. Oh, right. If you're gonna go exploring, I've got the perfect thing. The perfect thing? Stick your hand into the canvas, would you? The painting was still wrapped in an impenetrable darkness, a perfect, all-consuming void. The man had told the departed to put his hand into it. He reached into the frame. The departed extended his hand for the painting. The moment his fingers brushed against the darkness, it swallowed the departed's entire hand up to the wrist. No, not there. The tickles! A little to the right. As the man in the painting had instructed, the departed groped around the inside of the darkness. Before long, he felt something hard at his fingertips. Cleansing the object, the departed withdrew his hand. His arm was still intact. He spread his fingers, and there the departed found a key. Ah, that tickled. With that key, you can access the master bedroom. A while back, she tossed it into me. That damned litter bug. She? So yeah, it ain't mine. Don't worry about giving it back. However, I bet there's something worth seeing in there if she felt the need to toss that key. Alright, well, I'm gonna get some sleep. You take care. If you happen to learn my name, come pay me another visit. Should the fancy strike you. Having said that, the painting fell quiet. In the departed's hand lay a small key. It seemed rather antiquated and vaguely familiar. Silence once again drew over the corridor. The departed stood there all alone, no sign of the maid. After considering it for a few moments, the departed decided to explore the mansion on his own. Alright, we'll start just wandering around. The departed made his way to the mansion's entrance. There was no one around, nor any source of light. Groping through the darkness, he found the front door, which was sealed shut with a heavy bar. He pressed against the bar, but it remained firmly in place. The door did not budge either. It seemed he could not leave the mansion. Burn the witch. Crucify the impure. When the departed made to step away from the entrance, he heard a muffled voice. What was that? He looked around, but was unable to determine the source of the voice. Nor could he be sure whom he had heard either. It sends a chill through me. I feel like I know that voice very well. Giving up on finding anything at the entrance, the departed decided to head somewhere else. The departed made his way to the room with the fireplace. What remained of the fire crackled weakly, leaving the room in a veil of darkness. So cold. The departed remembered he had awoken here. Out of sheer curiosity, he sat down in the rocking chair he had been asleep in. Creak, creak. It was as soothing as a cradle to a baby, and in short order the departed found his consciousness drifting from his grasp. Reading a story by the fireplace like this almost makes it feel like we're in another world, doesn't it, Master? I bet that's why troubadours perform at pubs, so they can be near the fire. Oh, you're such a cynic. But that's okay. Say, do you remember when I first arrived here? When I was cleaning the library? Wonder who that was. The departed's eyes slowly slid open. Fragments of a pleasant dream lingered in the back of his mind. The crackling of a fire, the taste of warm wine. However, there was nothing pleasant about the fireplace sitting before him. No warm, crackling flames. In fact, the brisk air of the room overpowered the remnants of embers left there. A chill ran down the departed's spine. Afraid he might freeze stiff if he stayed there much longer, he resumed his exploration of the mansion. The scent of cigarette smoke lingered in the den. However, the room was silent. Not even an echo of the men's chattering remained. Something was moving. Billiards balls. There was no one present to strike the balls. They rolled spontaneously around the table. The paths they traced across the surface were rough and erratic, contrasting that of when the former master had held the cue. The spheres collided awkwardly with one another, not a single one coming close to the pockets. What's going on? As an experiment, the departed pulled a ball off the table. In response, the path of the balls became even clumsier. Having lost one of their targets, they began bouncing aimlessly off the cushioned walls of the table. As the departed stared intently at the table, a man's voice rang out from somewhere in the room. What? Spinning around, the departed saw a silhouette of a man. However, he could not make out what the man was saying. Does the silhouette look familiar? Who are you? The man thrust his finger at the table. He appeared to want the departed to return the ball. He looks angry. The departed reluctantly placed the billiards ball back on the table. When he did, the balls resumed endlessly colliding with one another, never landing in any of the pockets. The departed looked up to find the shadow gone. Having determined that the maid was not going to appear in the den, he exited the room, making his way back into the corridor. Look, your head is covered in roses. Oh, you got petals on the book. This isn't mine. I can't afford to. Though the departed could hear the sound of children laughing, he could not see them. Regardless, their cheerful voices warmed his heart. The departed decided to linger there in the garden for some time. Along with the children's laughs wafted a sweet fragrance. The wind blew, whisking flower petals up into the air. It was an enchanting sight. But after a while, the roses began to wilt. The departed could no longer hear the children's voices either. A young man stood alone in the withered rose garden. As the departed drew nearer, he called out to the youth, "Who are you?" But the young man did not appear to notice him. He merely stood there, staring vacantly across the garden. The youth muttered something in a lifeless voice. "This isn't what I wanted. I just wanted a normal, peaceful life. I can't bear being alone. I can't take this. Someone get me out of here. Oh God, tell me it's not all my fault. Look at me. Can you hear me?" The departed tried to call out to the young man several times, but he did not seem to hear him. He simply continued muttering to himself. Before long, the youth's shadow faded into nothing. Unable to bear the chilly air any longer, the departed stepped back into the mansion. When the departed descended into the cellar, he heard beast-like snarling. Along with it came a sour odor and the sound of ripping flesh. He could not see the beast, but that did not make it any less unpleasant. Back upstairs, the departed made to retreat from the cellar. But before he could, a shadowy creature lunged at him. He reflexively squeezed his eyes shut. After several moments, he opened his eyes again to find a silhouette of a man standing in place of the beast. The departed and the shadow stared at one another for some time. He asked the shadow a question, and the shadow responded, "Who are you?" However, he had no idea what it said. The shadow seemed to be trying to communicate something to the departed, but trying to make sense of something he could not understand was pointless. I have to get out of here. Having no reason to remain in the cellar any longer, he made his way back upstairs. So that's 3 ghosts in 3 very specific places. How interesting. The smell of dusty books filled the air of the library. The departed approached a shelf to examine one of the books. And suddenly an avalanche of them came falling to the floor. What? He stared blankly at the mountain of books. They had fallen down on their own, but they showed no signs of putting themselves away. Since no one else was there to do it, he began placing the books back on the shelf. 1, 2, 3, a dozen. And as soon as he had gotten them all back up, what on earth? They came crashing back down again. The departed wished very much to implore the maid's assistance, but she did not appear to be in the area. Pretending he had not seen anything, the departed made his way back into the hallway. The departed approached the stained glass window. An array of pews was arranged facing the stained glass. There seemed to be an air of tranquility about the room. He sat down in one of the pews and stared quietly forward for some time. It's an angel. The Archangel Michael. Looking at him makes my chest go tight. Am I human? For a moment, the departed felt like he was on the verge of recalling something, but ultimately the memory never managed to surface. The maid did not appear to be there. Where could she have gone? The departed decided to resume exploring the mansion. The departed inserted the key he had been given into the door's keyhole, and with a twist, the door opened. The master bedroom was shrouded in darkness, much like every other room in the mansion. It had evidently been unused for some time. The air in the room was stale and forlorn. Master? What? A voice seemed to ring out from somewhere. Come on, get up. Hey, Cygnus? Up with you. Master? See, what did I tell you? It's so much nicer in here with a little light. Without warning, the departed's whole world took on bright, vivid colors. Light streamed through the window, illuminating a well-lived bedroom. A woman's silhouette stood before the departed. You're... wait a sec. Don't you hide under your bedspread. Get out of here. Oh, but master, you agreed that I could open the windows. The windows? Don't worry, I put curtains up. If it gets too bright, you can draw them. Who are you? Mornings take the best parts of being outside and squeeze them all into the same few hours. Are you? You don't have to go outside in the sunlight for it either. Just listen to all the wonderful sounds. The joyous songs of the birds, the swaying of the trees, the rustling of leaves. Who gave me light? Are you the one who gave me light? The departed tried to call out to the silhouette, but it did not respond. Reaching out for her, his hand simply passed through her body. I wish to put my hand on you. It did not seem to be him that she was speaking to. Perhaps he was looking at a scene from some other period of time. Am I being as pushy as I feel right now? I wish to call your name. This is their song. But I cannot remember it. I completely misjudged you. Say, you're the exact opposite of what I thought you were. My name. Let's see. I thought you were cold and cruel. Heartless and incomprehensible. Speak. But I'm beginning to get a better idea. To me. You try to put on airs, but you're really rather childish. You have a short temper, but can be surprisingly playful. What else? You have a pretty difficult personality, too. Now, hear me out here. That's not everything. You gave me a chance to talk, and you listened intently. You can be kind of nice, too. We agreed that we would live together, not just in the same house, so we've got plenty of time to add more to the list. And I hope you can make your own list about me, too. This is just the beginning, after all. We've got a long, long time ahead of us. Plenty enough to get to know each other, no? Let's not waste any time, then. What do you say we do something today that we haven't been able to do before? Where should we begin? Oh, I know! We can get this place cleaned up! Now that there's some actual light in here, we can see all sorts of things we'd probably rather not. Like dust. All over the place. What you've seen just now has nothing to do with anything you've seen before. Which is a major clue. When the woman's shadow faded away, the master bedroom transformed back into its old dreary state. Master, can you say my name? The departed was unsure how to describe the urge welling up within his breast. He could not say her name. But he wanted to. His dialogue there, he said, "Are you the one who gave me light? Can you talk to me? Can you say my name? I want to say your name." You don't know who the character is yet, Delvin. That's why it's question mark. We've not met this person. This is a memory that no one wanted us to see. It was behind a locked door. The departed stood unmoving in the master bedroom for some time, but it did not appear anything else was going to happen. So he decided to head somewhere else. Hello, Damon. Welcome. Oh, now there's another option to go back to the glass window. Is this erotica? No. No, it's not. The departed returned to the room with the stained glass window. He had searched throughout the mansion, but had no luck finding the maid. He felt somewhat tired, though he was not quite sure whether it was physical exhaustion or otherwise. This darkness feels like it's draining me of my strength, like I'm slowly being smothered beneath it. He had little interest in doing any more moving about. Taking a seat in one of the pews, the departed gazed up at the stained glass. Staring solemnly back down at him was the archangel said to weigh the souls of the deceased. Michael. Perhaps he was trying to weigh the departed's soul. My soul is probably not very heavy. Alright, call for the maid. Master! Master! Oh, there you are, Master. You gave me quite the scare. After returning from the third door, you disappeared without a word. It was you who disappeared. Oh my, it was I who disappeared? That is quite strange. I did not go anywhere, as far as I am aware. Nevertheless, I am glad to have found you. I would have been at a complete loss for what to do if I had been separated from you yet again. Again? You said you were waiting for me. I did indeed say that when you first arrived. I have been waiting for your return for a very long time. For centuries, as a matter of fact. That would make me a ghost then, you say? I didn't say that. She seems very perky. I suspect she's not in her right mind. Am I in mine, though? I am very much not a ghost. Would I be able to hold your hand if I were? Saying this, the maid took the departed's hand. It was cold enough to send a shudder down his spine, and completely devoid of life. Though as chilling as it may have been, he still took comfort in the feeling of her hand in his. If we were both dead, then maybe we could still touch each other. The maid looked down at the departed with gentle eyes. After a few moments of silence, she sat down beside him. That stained glass is quite beautiful, is it not? Every time I see it, it brings a tranquility to my heart. It does the opposite for me. A dreadful, deep-rooted curse afflicts this mansion. However, this room is the one exception. Can you feel the purity that hangs in the air, Master? I have a question. Yes, what is it, Master? Why is the stained glass still there? It was... You are correct. The stained glass window had been shattered and was not present in the time period of the previous tale. So why is it here? I wonder. Perhaps it is because the mansion we are presently in resides in a realm separate from the real world. We are in a world constructed from myriad memories and histories. I am sure that when you regain your old self, Master, this mansion too shall be restored to its original state. So do try and remember, all right? Oh yes, where did you go in my absence, Master? I wandered around. I see. So you explored the mansion then? And did you find anything noteworthy? I gathered what appeared to be memories. Memories? I am not quite sure what you mean. How peculiar. As a servant of this house, I pride myself in being aware of most everything present within these walls. I wonder whose memories they could be. The key to the master bedroom. The key to the master bedroom? Why did you throw it away? Why did I throw away the key? I beg your pardon? The painting. You say a painting told you. The departed could see perplexity on the maid's face. He had never seen her make such an expression before. I know nothing of any key. Oh, Master, you should not tell jokes meant to cause others discomfort. But a talking painting, you say? You seem to have a rather vivid imagination. Maybe you can tell the next tale, Master. I am only teasing. Now, that was a nice break, but we should get moving. The tale I am about to show you is the last of the mansion's memories. The last? Maybe this time there will actually be some trace of me. I am certain you will remember yourself after seeing it. To our feet. The final door is not far. And please, do not let go of my hand. Holding the departed's hand, the maid led him to the far end of the room. Crossing beneath the stained glass window, a metal door came into view. Our destination lies at the top of these stairs. There we will find one last door. She pushed open the metal door, revealing a long, long spiral staircase. It will be a bit of a walk, so let us be on our way, and please do watch your step. This is called an observation tower. Normally, towers such as this were built in castles or churches, so it is rather strange for there to be one in a mansion. The last door I wish to show you, Master, resides at the top of this tower. The observation tower. She cries. From the top of the tower. And Rectangular windows were carved out of the stone in several locations along the way up the spiral staircase. The departed attempted to peer out one of the windows, but all he could see was a thick layer of fog. Perhaps the maid's suggestion that the mansion did not presently reside in reality was, in fact, correct. With each step upward, he found himself gripped by an indescribable sense of anxiety. So you think this is going to be his memories? Up ahead. Something tells me there is something at the top of these stairs that will stimulate my memories. The feeling somewhat resembled irritation or annoyance. Sensing this, the maid tightly gripped his hand. There is nothing to worry about. You will be fine. It is all in the past. No matter what may happen, so long as you do not let go of my hand, you have nothing to fear. All in the past. But is it truly? The departed and the maid continued climbing the stairs. Up and up, around and around, marching ever nearer the supposed final door. High up into the tower, as the light from below drew distant, a rotten wooden door came into view. Patches of what appeared to be blood stained the surface, and holes had been bored into it with sharp objects of some sort. The departed heard a scream from far below where no one should have been. "Kill the witch! Kill the witch! Kill the witch! Burn her! Burn her! Burn her!" Burn her? He was struck with fear. The next moment, the maid opened the door. And then he slowly descended into darkness. Hello, Christina. Welcome. 1099. So this is all before, way before everything else we've seen in the 1600s, 17... Set on a pot, set it on, and also pour water into it. Gather the pieces thereof into it. Even every good piece, the thigh and the shoulder. Fill it with the choice bones. Take the choice of the flock, and burn also the bones under it. And make it boil well, and let them seethe the bones of it therein. Thus saith the Lord, Woe to the bloody city, to the pot whose scum is therein, and whose scum is not gone out of it. Bring it out piece by piece. Let no lot fall upon it. Where is she? Where'd she go? She came down this way, I'm sure of it. Find her. Find her and burn her. Burn the witch. Burn the witch. Burn the witch. Burn the witch. Burn her. Burn her. Burn her. Then will I leave thee upon the land, I will cast thee forth upon the open field, and will cause all the fowls of the heaven to remain upon thee, and I will fill the beasts of the whole earth with thee. And I will lay thy flesh upon the mountains, and fill the valleys with thy height. I will also water with thy blood the land wherein thou swimmest, even to the mountains, and the rivers shall be full of thee. And when I shall put thee out, I will cover the heaven, and make the stars thereof dark. I will cover the sun with a cloud, and the moon shall not give her light. All the bright lights of heaven will I make dark over thee, and set darkness upon thy land. I seem to have lost them. Now where am I? Where should I go from here? What am I to do? Darkness spreads as far as the eye can see. Not a ray of light shines down upon me. All that strokes my cheek are tendrils of darkness. Every passing day, every fading hour, my world is engulfed in ebony. See. Somebody said to check the backlog for this chapter. I'm not sure what they meant, because backlog's just what's already been said, right? I don't know. There exists no kindness in this shadow, only solitude. I've lost track of how long I've been on the run. Wandering aimlessly, lost until I arrived at this dark forest. Notice this time the maid's not telling the story, we're hearing the story from a first-person point of view. I no longer have anywhere to go. O Father who art in heaven, I kneel to thee within my heart and ask of thee thy blessing. O Father who art in heaven, I ask of thee to shine thy light upon me and show me the way. Please have mercy upon my soul. O Father who art in heaven, I do love thee dearly, hallowed be thy name. Please show me the way. I may be shunned and persecuted, and I may have no place to go, but nevertheless I am unable to give up on life, to cast aside my hope. O Father who art in heaven, please guide me unto salvation. O Father who art in heaven, please guide me. I can no longer remember when my life became naught but running, when it became endless wandering in the dark. And now, when I've reached the point when I've long since forgotten my hunger and thirst, my voice has become hoarse, my vision gone blurry, and my consciousness begun sinking into a hazy morass. That mansion appears before me, wrapped in a morning fog that seems to foretell rain. Oh my. The mansion comes into the view like the world fading in after a dream. It doesn't appear as though anyone lives here. All the windows are either boarded up or shuttered, as if it's long since been abandoned. A tower, which seems out of place in a personal residence, stands tall beside the mansion. The whole building seems as though it could disappear with the fog. It has an unwelcoming presence, freezing me in my tracks. However, if this is where you have led me, then I shall follow your guidance. Having nowhere else to go, this mansion is my only salvation, the light that guides my way, and so I must have faith that no matter what I find, whether spirits or wild beasts dwell within these walls, that this is where I will find peace. That's worked out so well for everyone so far. Is anyone there? I guess it is abandoned. That makes sense. It would be more unusual for someone to be living in a house so deep in the woods, so far from civilization, like it's been forgotten to time. I can't imagine anyone spending their days here. I place my hand on the front door. What if I can't get in? I very much doubt I'll find anywhere else to stay wandering through these woods. If the door doesn't open, then I'll die out here in the forest. I've come to accept much, but I'm not ready to forfeit my life yet. Please open. The door is heavy, and though it seems to protest my attempts to enter, it still opens much easier than I was expecting. I was worried over nothing. Looking in, I get the strangest impression light is being swallowed up into the mansion's depths. Rather than going inside, it feels as though I'm about to step outside the boundaries of this world. When I close the door, it's so dark I can't even tell where I'm walking. I wonder if the window's open. Though I managed to fumble my way over to a window, it's tightly shuttered, and the shutters are caked with rust. I'm probably not getting it open without a fight. If only I had some source of light. I can't even see my hand waving in front of my face. It feels like the floor will fall out from under me and I'll sink into eternal darkness if I don't watch my step. Fighting back that fear, I slowly walk forward, tracing the wall with my hand. There's a door at the end of a long corridor. I pull it open and a wisp of bone-chilling air brushes past me. It's too dark to see anything, but I can feel something different present in this area than the rest of the house. Uneasiness grips me. Is anybody here? My voice simply disappears into the void. No response. As I'm pushing forward through the freezing air, for a split second I spot a shimmer of light. Squinting my eyes, I'm able to make out a large window. Unlike the others, it's not shuttered, but covered by drapes. My chances are slim, I imagine, but if there's even a slight possibility of getting some light in here, it's worth a shot. So I pull open the drapes. The next moment, faint but colorful light shines down on me. It's a stained glass window. From beyond the glass, I can hear the subtle pitter-patter of rain. I guess it finally started. That different colors of light blend into a milky white, dim but wondrous. It's gorgeous. Why would someone cover this up? It's beautiful. With a little more light, it'd be... Please do not touch the drapes. Or the windows. Suddenly I hear a voice, and I can sense someone else in the room. The man's voice is emotionless, neither deep nor high. Before long, he comes into view, illuminated by dull orange candlelight. I'm sorry for coming in uninvited, but, I did announce myself. The man stands there, practically blending in with the darkness. Jesus freaking, I've charged you all day! Gotta get my charger. So, while we have the second... Anyone remember this scene already happening? Anyone remember early in the story when it gave us an option to either avoid touching a mirror or touch it? And when we touched the mirror, it showed us this scene. It showed us this scene, but it was different. Something different happened in that scene. So, which memory's real? And why is this story different. Has he been there the whole time? He's staring straight at me. His gaze wavers slightly, but not enough for me to read anything in it. The candle in his hand and the light from the stained glass window are the only illumination in the room, neither of which are particularly bright. As a result, his outline is faint and blurred. It gives off the impression that he might vanish entirely between blinks. My apologies, I had assumed the house was abandoned. I suspect you would have preferred it to be abandoned. Not at all. Is this, do you live in this mansion? Yes, I have for a very long time. I thought I had barred the front door, but it would seem I left it open. What brings you here? If you're lost, I am happy to give you directions. Can you check the backlog through the science? What do you mean? Let's see. Huh? Oh! Look at that! Look at all the X's! Those X's weren't there when we read, but if we look back at the memories... This is a huge hint that something's wrong here! Oh, look at this! Oh, man! And did you notice when this scene started, his face blurred for a second? Did you see that? There's a lot wrong with this. The mirror memory was different. His face blurred when we first showed up. These words are all fucked up. The painting said, if a memory looks too beautiful, it's probably not real. I think we've figured out at this point, this is not true. Something about this is a lie. If you're lost, I am happy to give you directions. There is a village west of here. It should take you maybe half a day on foot. If you are in need of money, help yourself to some of the furniture. Trade it for food at the village, then make your way to a larger town. Please allow me to stay here. Could you repeat that? I cannot go to the village. No, I cannot go anywhere. I am no longer able to freely return to any town. I'm really curious now what... Wow, it is. I'm being hunted. You seem rather young to be a sinner. So you have transgressed. I am neither a thief nor an adulterer. If I bear any sin, then it has been with me since birth. I will do everything I can to stay out of your way. I simply ask that you grant me shelter until it all blows over. If you wish to know my transgression, I will tell you. So please, do not throw me out. I see. And do you ask this of me aware of how people refer to this mansion? Pardon? It is said that a witch once lived in this house. And not just any witch, a cursed witch. This house has been tainted by her seething hatred, and all who dwell within it meet their demise. But you live here, don't you? Like her, I too am cursed. Hey, Akatsuki! Huh? What kind of curse? The one thing I can tell you is that your life is in danger if you get involved with me. You missed. We wandered around the mansion and found some memories, and then we've started the new story, which you've only missed like 10 minutes of the new story. Should you approach my curse, I am likely to take your life. You'll kill me? Yes, so you do not belong here. To live with me in this mansion is to sentence yourself to death. No matter what path I choose, I very much doubt I have a future. And if that's the case, then I shall live how I want. I don't care what people say about you or this mansion. I wish to stay here. You might think I'm rather strange, but my heart tells me that I must stay here, that I was guided here, and hearing what you have to say only reinforces that. What are you scheming? I am not scheming anything. I am simply tired of running. So if your curse is going to kill me, then perhaps that's for the best. At the very least, you won't be hunting me. You won't try to flay me or tear off my arms or rip the flesh from my bones. I wonder what it looks like now. Yeah, it's still just random words, but obviously it's a hint that all of this is untrue. That's enough for me. If you have committed no sin, then why do they hunt you so fervently? I am accused of being a witch. Master, master, please wake up. Return to me. Ah, have you come too, master? I apologize for sending you through the door without warning. It must have given you quite the scare. But I beg your forgiveness. I heard a terrible screaming from down the stairs and I panicked. You say you saw the white-haired girl. I see. So you made it into the world beyond the door before me. So that's why we saw it in the first person, because she pushed us in first. I am deeply relieved that I was able to take your hand before losing sight of you. I presume you have already grown familiar with the atmosphere of this time period, Master. If you have seen her as you said, then you should have a basic grasp of the situation. She was a very misfortunate girl in this era, accused of being a witch, abused, and persecuted. Her life was in constant danger. It was again her appearance that brought this upon her. That snow-white hair and those ruby eyes clearly differentiated her from everyone else. Oh, and I apologize. I neglected to mention that this door is unique. As for what sets it apart, that will be made clear as we proceed. The one difference is in the time period. The tales I have shown you began with that of the beautiful flaxen-haired family, followed by the tale of the bloodthirsty beast, and then the tale of steel and ambition. Proceeding in chronological order. However, the door we have just entered takes us to the period now known as the Middle Ages, long, long before the other three tales. Yes, that is correct. This is where it all began. The mansion's curse, the truth of the witch, and your identity. All of this should be made known. Will I do any videos on this? I've been thinking of it. Part of the reason I stream games is it gives me video footage so that if I make a video I have content to use. So that may happen eventually. Right now I need to finish my giant project I made for myself. If after this tale you are still unable to reclaim your old self, then there is nothing more I can do. This door contains the last tale I am able to tell you. So I ask of you, please do not let go of my hand until it is all over. Now then, let us begin a beautiful, tragic love story of two solitary souls trapped in a mansion of darkness. In that era, the mansion was a dungeon draped in darkness. After a great deal of time on the run, the white-haired girl found herself at a remote mansion that stood in a dark, overgrown forest. All the windows were either boarded or shuttered, and it was even darker inside the house than out. Not even a ray of moonlight could enter those walls. Only naturally, the white-haired girl assumed nobody had lived there, but her guess was incorrect. Someone did indeed dwell in the house. It was a young man named Michel. Though she could not make out the details of his face in the candlelight, she thought him a very handsome man. However, he proclaimed to her that a witch resided within the mansion and that he too was cursed. If it's beautiful, it's bullshit, quoth the creepy painted man. Yeah, the painting said if it's beautiful, it's not true. Everyone who got close to him lost their lives. The part that we have to wonder is, what's not the truth? Which parts have been altered here? How much truth is there? We know for sure that we saw in the mirror a memory of a man named Michel who lived in an abandoned mansion and a girl meeting him. So there's some vein of truth here. But which is the lie? Everyone who got close to him lost their lives. Do you think that what he told her was all nonsense? A lie devised to chase her out of the house? The truth of the matter shall come to light in time. Despite Michel's assertions, the white-haired girl decided she would take up residence within the mansion. This era's white-haired girl was younger than the others. She was still in her early teens, young enough to be seen as a child. But she was neither as self-centered nor irresponsible as you might expect of someone her age. She was very delicate and reserved, and acted with a great deal of modesty and restraint. The accusations of her being a criminal and a sinner were grossly inappropriate. Nevertheless, she was still chased from her home, barely managing to flee to this mansion with her life. Now the white-haired girl thought it would be rude to simply take up space in the mansion, so she chased down the Master Michel and asked, Is there anything I can do to help? I will clean or cook or do anything, just let me know. Have you noticed that in the previous stories, the white-haired girl was a character on the screen? We saw her as, like, when she was talking, she was on the screen. This time, it's presenting it to us as if we are the white-haired girl. I want to repay you for allowing me to stay here. You need not feel indebted to me. The weight of that obligation will only turn into disdain. But I can't just stay here and do nothing. Do whatever you like, as long as you do not enter my room. That is all I ask of you. He said emotionlessly, turning away and walking off. Michel was not, I believe, spurning her. He was merely disinterested. He did not treat her disrespectfully, nor did he seem averse to her presence. Words simply did not seem to affect him at all. Not only was the mansion a prison for his body was also a prison ensnaring his heart. I should still do whatever I can. But she did not let that get her down. In fact, she might have even interpreted his disinterest as kindness. Though he was a bit standoffish, he did not attempt to cause her harm. He was nothing like the people who had accused her of being a witch and forced her to flee for her life. And she was deeply grateful for that. Thus began their quiet life together. Michel, who avoided contact with others, and the white-haired girl, who had taken a great deal of abuse from others. Two people who knew hardly anything about one another, who were too distant to really be said to be living together. Michel spent most of his day in his chambers, so they only saw each other occasionally, and they hardly ever spoke. Though they stayed in the same house, they both still lived solitary lives. Nonetheless, the white-haired girl wanted to get to know Michel better. She wanted to know why he called himself cursed. Why he lived alone in this dark mansion. How many days, how many years he had spent here in solitude. And while she waited for the opportunity, she also started doing things around the house. The first project she set to take care of was cleaning. As the windows were all firmly shut, her only source of light was candles. For whatever reason, there was a great deal of candles stored in the cellar. She wondered where on earth he had acquired so many, but she never found the opportunity to ask him. It was difficult to even see all the dust and cobwebs with only candlelight, and considering the poor airflow through the house, she was afraid her efforts were going to be in vain. Still, she persisted, sweeping and wiping things down one room at a time. Eventually, she made her way to the library. The dust that had settled there was much heavier than in any other room. With each breath, she had to fight back coughs. It was not a room one would normally be comfortable spending much time in, but the sight of so many bulky volumes lining the shelves sent her heart aflutter with delight. They're books. Incredible, real books. The white-haired girl had never seen a book before. She had heard people describe them, but that was the first time she'd ever seen one for herself. Parchment was a very valuable commodity in that era. It was something monks or scholarly priests made use of, and not a material one could easily acquire without some degree of social rank. Books were not printed with machines, but copied by hand. A single volume took an incredible amount of work to create. Even the process of binding was an art. Standing before a shelf, she stared intently at the spines. There's so much dust. Does he not read any of them? Just a peek. Just a tiny little peek. She said, making excuses to the empty room as she reached her hand towards one of the books. The tome that caught her eye was on the upper shelf. It bore gorgeous jade embossing and looked like it belonged in a treasure chest. Almost. Though she tended to act older than her age, the white-haired girl was still in her early teens, and not especially tall. Even standing tiptoe, it was just barely within reach. At long last, her slender fingers made contact with the spine, and she began to pull the book toward her. Ah! The library had sat abandoned for some time, causing the covers to stick together. So when she attempted to pull one out, several others tilted with it. And then, almost all the books on the shelf came avalanching down onto her. Remember when we were exploring the house and we looked in the library, and there was some kind of weird ghostly phenomenon where all the books fell? Ow. The white-haired girl groaned, buried under a mountain of parchment. She hoped she had not damaged any of her host's valuable collection, for the mess was enough of a setback already in her attempt to express her gratitude. Looking around, she saw one volume that was almost torn in half. She did not know whether it was in that condition before or if it happened in the fall, but nonetheless she felt horribly guilty. Sitting there, unable to get back to her feet, tears began welling in her eyes. Then, suddenly, a shadow fell over the dejected girl. It took a book in its hand and returned it to the shelf. For a brief moment, the shadow's hand reached hesitantly toward the white-haired girl, then changed course toward another book. Ah, it was Michel. There was a hint of perplexity in his otherwise emotionless eyes. Perhaps he had heard the noise and come to see what had caused it. I'm so sorry, your books, What were you doing? I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to make a mess. I didn't mean to damage such precious books. There's no need to panic. I'm sorry. You make it sound as though I'm admonishing you. What? Did you want to read a book? I do, but that's not what I originally came... Excuse me. I originally came here to clean. Clean? Yes, I felt guilty simply being idle. I did say you could do as you pleased, but you have no responsibility to clean anything. I just ended up making a bigger mess anyway. You needn't apologize. Okay. If you want to read, help yourself to any of the books. But I don't know how to read. I just thought the cover was pretty, so I wanted to hold it. You're free to use them however you wish. If looking at them is enough for you, by all means. These are all your books, aren't they? They are. That's incredible. You have so many. It must have taken you a long time to acquire them all. 1 per month. What? My family sends me one every month. Every month? The white-haired girl turned her gaze back toward the shelf, squinting her eyes and beginning to count. When she finished, she was in awe. There were in excess of 100 books on the shelves, which meant he had lived there in solitude for many years. She was at a loss for words. They're dull tomes, dreadfully inoffensive, and not even interesting enough to waste a few hours with. Decoration is all they're good for. I see. If you can put them to some use, then perhaps my having them won't be entirely meaningless anymore. I'm going to return to my room. Don't feel obligated to clean up. Just a minute. Was there something else? Could you tell me your name? I just realized I never asked for your name. Not knowing what to call you will make conversation awkward. I want to, though. Wait, is it skipping sentences? Oh, you don't need my name to. I guess I accidentally did skip it. Oh, we don't have any more... We have some right there. Huh. Curious that now we don't have any X's. So I wonder if that... Ooh. There's some X's. Huh. So I guess that means certain... Oh. I wonder if that means... Huh. Wonder if that means those lines are true and the others aren't somehow. Michel. Michel, like the Archangel. The name suits you quite well. I don't think it has to do with Bestia. I think it's just that those are the lines that are altered somehow. It means something's wrong with them. Possibly. Maybe the other lines are actually truer. The name suits you quite well. Oh, this fell out again. This poor charger is broken. It suits me. It does. Although it's difficult to see you in the dark, you seem to be a very handsome man, befitting of your name. I beg to differ. Giving me his name is the highest form of mockery. Huh. His name is blocked out! Blank like the blank. The name suits you well. It suits me. Huh. I expect the real Archangel is probably rather annoyed by it. I don't know. I think it's a wonderful name. And you're... No, never mind. Oh, my name? My name is Giselle. Ah! But it's blocked out! My name is Giselle. Please call me Giselle. Oh, thank goodness. For what? That I was able to get your name and talk to you for a little bit. We haven't seen much of each other since I first arrived, so I'm glad I got to hear your voice. So very glad. You gain nothing by speaking to me. You have no responsibility to do so, and there's no need for you to feel joy about it. I'm not pleased out of some sense of responsibility or necessity. It's just depressing not being able to have a conversation with someone living in the same house. You do not understand me at all. As I said on that first day, my curse will one day kill you. But I'm still alive, aren't I? You are welcome to believe I am lying or that I am merely out of my mind. But it will be too late when you realize the truth. I'll be fine, I'm sure. And even if I do die because of your curse, I promise I won't hold a grudge. Could you possibly be keeping away from me out of concern? No, I simply have no interest in interacting with anyone. I would like to interact with you. If you don't mind, that is. As I told you, you have nothing to gain from that. I have nothing, not even words to give you. My body is but a shell. Even if I were not cursed, my presence would do naught but cause you discomfort. I don't think that's true. I don't believe that there's anyone in this world with absolutely nothing. There's plenty inside you, you simply haven't noticed it yet. And not all of it will only cause others pain, either. If you truly believe those words, then you are a foolhardy girl. How can you trust someone you only just met? Let's take a look. Okay, I feel like my theory is far more well-informed because I have played the game twice. I'm actually beginning to think... I think the stuff that's not X'd out is made up. I think the stuff that's X'd out is repressed. Like, he's repressing the memory, or it's unclear, something's keeping it hidden, and then the stuff that we're able to actually see isn't real. And the painting said the things that are beautiful are probably lies. For that matter, how do you not resent everyone? Resent them? I can take a guess as to why people call you a witch and why you had to flee all the way to this mansion. Your white hair and red eyes, that abnormal, seemingly inhuman appearance, drew their condemnation. And I can think of any number of reasons they might have started treating you less than human. Perhaps people around you experienced misfortune, or perhaps there was a natural disaster, a famine, a plague, some kind of external phenomenon, and you were their scapegoat. Yes, you are by and large correct. Then that would make me as unworthy of your trust as anyone else. I make no claim to having your interests in mind. Goodbye. If you don't mind, could you teach me how to read sometime? Did you listen to anything I said? I listened, yes. I have no intention of idolizing you. I don't expect you to do anything for me, and I don't wish to burden you in any way. I simply wish to be allowed to be at your side. It does not matter to me what kind of person you may be. That is all I want. I apologize for keeping you. Please consider it if it's not too much trouble. Let's see how much. Oh, there's a little bit of line. Huh. As the master of the house, Michel, made his way out of the library, he appeared to be slightly rattled. Perhaps the white-haired girl's determination had ignited something in his chained heart. Or perhaps it was something else. She stared toward the darkness into which Michel had disappeared. Then she carefully wrapped her arms around the jade-embossed tome, a soft smile spreading across her lips. He's a decent man, I'm sure of it. We're alike, he and I. And thus began to blossom within her a faint sense of fellowship as someone who also knew solitude. Let's see. Ah, so the maid's dialogue seems to all be not blanked. Oh man, but the I think I'm I need to get more water. It had been about a week since the white-haired girl had taken up residence in the mansion. Staying in that house deprived of light was, I imagine, a very claustrophobic experience. To anyone blessed enough to have sunlight as part of their everyday lives, it would have been unbearable. But for her, the mansion, with its prison walls and lack of either illumination or recreation, was the only place she could find respite. She and Michel continued to be distant, however. He spent most of his time in his chambers, which he had explicitly told the white-haired girl to stay out of, leaving her unable to close that gap. Nonetheless, on the occasions they did cross paths in the hallways, their eyes would meet, if but briefly. It was never for more than a few seconds. Whenever she saw him, she made a point of giving him a little smile. He never said anything, but still, when she first arrived, he would not have even met her gaze. He seemed to be taking more and more notice of her. Let's take a look. Looks like, okay, everything the maid says is normal. It's just dialogue. One day, the white-haired girl stood in the cellar, a frown on her face. Well, this is troubling. I can't go down to the village, but if we don't do something soon... The cellar was where their food was stored, an assortment of non-perishables and dried foods, smoked meats, and cheeses. Her daily meals were taken from the supplies there. However, the stockpile was beginning to grow quite small. Were she not on the run, she could have gone to the village or procure more. Or perhaps were she a little tougher, she could have captured a wild animal for its meat. But master, you know a young delicate thing like her was hardly up to the task of hunting for food. How does he normally get his supplies, I wonder? From there, other questions about Michel started rising in her mind. No matter how lifeless he seemed, surely he still had to eat, right? The white-haired girl nodded, then made her way out of the cellar, intending to head for his bedchamber. But on her way there, she spotted him standing by the entrance, staring motionless at the door lit by a single candle. He appeared to be waiting for something. May I ask you a question? Go on. I was just down in the cellar and I noticed we were running low on food. Do you normally go down to the village to restock? I haven't been outside in 10 years. Then how do you... What if I told you I don't eat? What? That I am not of this world. And as such, I have no need of sustenance. Oh, wow. I haven't been outside in blank, huh? What would you think of that? That sounds very, economical? If you can survive without having to eat, that's one less thing to worry about. Is this a hidden object game? Nah, it's more of a interactive novel with some choices, but not too many. Though they're major ones. If it were possible, I'd like to have that ability too. It would seem trying to frighten you is a waste of time. Was I supposed to be afraid? Never mind. It doesn't matter. You asked about the food in the cellar. It's getting to be about that time. Wait and you will find out. What do you... It's here. Oh? If you want to know where my supplies come from, open the door. But, I'm in hiding. There's no one at the door anymore. The knock is nothing more than a signal. A signal? The white-haired girl turned toward Michel to press him for more information, but he averted his gaze. Find the answer yourself, he seemed to be saying. She took several moments to gather her will, then marched over to the door. Oh, well, thank you, Angel Truth. That's very kind of you. So bright. The sunlight, which she had not seen in some time, was so bright it seemed to burn her eyes. Although the sun itself had not gotten any brighter, she had simply spent so much time in the dark, her eyes were no longer accustomed to that much light. The color of her eyes made them quite sensitive to light already, so when she stepped outside, her whole world went bone white. The white-haired girl stood motionless for 10, perhaps 15 seconds, and when her eyes had finally adjusted to the light, what's this? She noticed a crate on the ground at her feet. She turned her head back to ask Michel about the box, but the mansion was so dark it appeared to be wholly severed from the outside world. From where she stood, she was unable to distinguish Michel from the shadows. A pang of nervousness struck her. She wanted to return to that darkness as quickly as possible. The white-haired girl had come to yearn for that world without light more than the one with. The crate was fairly hefty. The slightly built girl had considerable difficulty bringing it into the house, but eventually she did manage to drag it through the front door. And then everything went dark once more, except for the faint flicker of candlelight floating in the air. You can leave it there. I'll take care of the rest. What's... Without a word, Michel approached her in the box, withdrawing a knife that he had evidently kept hidden somewhere on his person. With it, he cut through the rope that bound the box. Go on, open it up. At his insistence, she placed her hand upon the lid. She had no idea what lay inside this unexpected delivery. Whoever had brought it was already long gone. Staring at the strange box, she was racked with nervousness. However, what she found when she pushed aside the lid was completely ordinary food. Is something amusing? It was just rather anticlimactic. Here I was, worried about what might be inside. We were just talking about the supplies in the cellar. So we were. Here, let's take a look. Looks like all this is normal. It completely slipped my mind. This should last us for some time. It's all preserved, like what's in the cellar. But I don't understand. Who would deliver all this to you? There should be a book in there as well. What? Oh, there it is. In the library, he said that his family sends him one book a month. Does that mean this box came from them? If so, then why did the person who delivered this leave without speaking to him? What happened between him and his family? Is he here because they want him here? Or because he chose to be here? Take the book to the library, please. I will bring the rest of the supplies to the cellar. But it's a big box. I'm sure you could use some help carrying it. That won't be necessary. Take the book and go. But... fine, then stay here. Let's see what's... No more X's, it doesn't look like. I'll take care of everything. Wait, hold on, please. What is it? You don't have to answer this if you don't want to. And, I'm not trying to pry, but I can't help but be curious. Say what you have to say, please. I was wondering if you could tell me why you live here in this mansion. Why did whoever delivered this box leave before you even opened the door? Could you perhaps be imprisoned here? I told you this the very first day. I am cursed. Let's see. Is all this the same? It's only natural for a cursed man to live in a cursed home. Yes, but that's such a vague answer. I don't understand why you're in the situation you are. I don't know how you feel about it. There's so much I don't know. And I'm not even sure if your curse actually exists. I see. That is a perfectly reasonable doubt from your point of view. Having been branded a witch because of your appearance, it would make sense that you would think my curse might be fabricated, or perhaps a metaphor for something else. Alright then, come with me. I'll show you my curse. As he turned on his heels, the white-haired girl caught a glimpse of what appeared to be a smirk on his face, like the whole thing was some kind of sick joke. That smile, carved into his mask, was far colder than any look of annoyance or rejection. But despite the twinge of nervousness, she still followed after Michel. As much as he might have stood out in a crowd, with such height and long hair, his presence was almost entirely eroded away by the darkness. She felt that he could simply fade away into nothingness at any moment. Many things are buried here. Mice, insects, wildcats, and dogs. Have you ever thought it strange how little life there seemed to be around this mansion? You're right. I haven't seen a single creature since I arrived. The only sound you can hear is the wind blowing. Now that you mention it, it did seem peculiar. They were all killed by me. Or rather, they lost their lives because of me. You have your answer now. A butterfly fluttered its way into the garden, dancing up and down through the air. Michel held out a finger before himself, and the butterfly, mistaking it for a branch, drifted down upon it to rest its wings. Had the scene stopped there, it would have been a picturesque moment. All that comes in contact with me loses its life. My skin, the breath I exhale, my freshened blood, is poison to all life. But the butterfly's movements began to slow. It spread its wings in one last futile attempt to fight gravity, and then, without warning, it shriveled up into a dry husk. It's dead, all dried up and lifeless. Let's see what's going on right now. Ooh, there's some blanks in the dialogue. Like it's been dead for days. It's like his finger drained all the life out of it. Is this his curse? Is that even possible? But I saw it with my own eyes. If this is his curse, though, it explains much. There are more than just insects and animal corpses buried here, too. Servants who came to visit me long ago are here beneath the ground, under our very feet. That's why the servant leaves before I open the door. Should he touch me, should he get near me, his very life is in danger. No one is interested enough in seeing me to take that risk. No one will have anything to do with me. Nary a soul even wishes to see my face. Now you understand what I meant when I said I would eventually kill you. So that's why you have never once touched me. When I knocked the books down in the library, you didn't offer your hand to help me up. And only one of us ever made contact with the box at the entrance at a time. When I offered to help you carry it, you refused, because you didn't want your finger to accidentally brush against mine. My actions were not out of concern for you. I simply dislike people. Others' interests mean nothing to me. What an odd face you're making. Do you not believe my curse is real? No, I do. It is certainly irrational, inexplicable, unbelievable. But you've shown me more than enough evidence. And I don't believe you're lying to me right now either. In which case, you now understand how dangerous it is to be near me. You said that if you left, you would be killed. But it's been some time since then. If you're careful to cover your tracks, you could make your escape. You do not belong here. He was telling the truth about being cursed. What a cruel burden to have to bear. I can't imagine just how much he's given up on, how many lives he's inadvertently taken, and how much he must have felt every time it happened, how much pain that loneliness must have given him, how much despair he must carry in his heart, how much sorrow must be weighing down on him. So no, I will not leave. I will stay here with you. Leave this place. No, I will not. Why? Why do you insist upon remaining in this house after learning what I can do? You have no reason to stay. Tell me then, why do you try to drive me out? If you don't care for others, as you say, if you're not concerned about anyone else, then what does it matter what I do? What does it matter if I die to your curse? You're a very kind-hearted man. You've been watching out for me since the day I arrived, doing whatever you can not to inadvertently kill me, to not afflict me with your curse. No. Here's what I think. No one capable of showing genuine care for others can honestly, truly dislike all people. They can't possibly be indifferent. No, That day we met before the stained glass window, you heard me out. You listened to my plight. You didn't try to chase me out. That day I thought you to be a good person. And I still believe that. I simply assumed you would leave on your own when it was safe. I never thought you would be so foolish as to want to stay in a house like this with a man like me. How does that make me foolish? Do you not value your life? Are you not afraid of death? Do you not find me unpleasant? The thing I fear most is loneliness. You're probably right that by now I could safely sneak away, get myself somewhere far from here. But even if I did, I would inevitably find myself in the same situation. The only way I can avoid that fate is to stay away from everyone. To live in solitude with no one to talk to. I know you understand how that feels. It terrifies me. I'm afraid of having to spend day after day with no one to talk to, no one to share my experiences, my thoughts, my feelings with. If that's what awaits me out there, then I want to live with you. I want you to be an essential part of my life. Impossible. Please, don't chase me out. You are a cruel girl. Never again will I allow myself to get close to someone, only to watch them die. Never again. My mother was the first to die. It happened shortly after my birth. Next was my wet nurse. 2 deaths could be considered a coincidence, but as the number rose, it became clear that I was cursed, and I was forbidden from making contact with anyone, even at home. Regardless, being in the same house, accidents will happen. Numerous people lost their lives. Attendants unfamiliar with me, or those who simply brushed up against me by mistake. I couldn't take it any longer. So you chose to move here, to this remote mansion, to keep yourself away from your family. You weren't imprisoned here. You elected to live alone so you wouldn't hurt anyone. For better or for worse, I was born into a noble house. So rather than abandon me, they've provided me the means to live out of sight. I will be very careful. I will do everything I can to ensure no accidents occur. To keep you from being alone again. I will not for any reason touch you. You have my promise. Your curse takes the life of anything you touch. I've been here for a while and death has not befallen me yet. As long as I do not touch you, there shouldn't be a problem. Also, and I apologize if this is simply me reading too much into things, but I feel like we're 2 of a kind. I fear being utterly alone more than anything, and I think you understand just how scary that is. So, why are you so stubbornly insisting on it being me? I'm sure there's someone else out there. Someone you're meant to be with. You may not have found them yet, but I believe someone like you eventually will. Because unlike me, you still have the vigor to press forward. It has to be you. I'm certain of it. Why? Because, well, you can't tell me? No, I can, just, please don't get upset with me. I think I might really, really love you. How beautiful and perfect this fairy tale seems to be. His was a power that evoked images of witches or demons, the unclean and the impure. A mere touch was all it took for him to strip man and beast alike of its life. God has quite a cruel streak to bestow such power upon such a beautiful young man. And a strange power it was indeed, like something out of a fairy tale. Like something confined to words upon the page, it seemed otherworldly, unbelievable. Nonetheless, as he had demonstrated to the white-haired girl, his peculiar powers were indeed real. That said, the world has its fair share of oddities. It just so happens that those curiosities tend to remain hidden away, known only to a few. Although you have laid eyes upon a number of unusual phenomena yourself, Master. Okay, so what I mean by perfect isn't that, you know, it's a good, like, happy, like, they can't touch each other. Obviously, that sucks. But doesn't it sound like the setup to, like, a Beauty and the Beast type fairy tale? Not real life. And these are supposed to be stories that happen for real. So why does it seem so perfectly written, like it was planned out? Like it was told to someone? The doors to the past through which we've passed, this very mansion, and as a matter of fact, the 2 of us. Now, as you just saw, the white-haired girl found herself enraptured with this man and his accursed power. Good night, Helena. How do you think Michelle acted in response to her proclamation? He had spent so long refusing to interact with others. No, unable to interact with them. As such, he was unsure how to respond. After standing there expressionless for a few moments, he muttered, "I'll consider it." And with that, he returned to his chambers. While he was not someone who wore his heart on his sleeve, I personally do not believe he was completely devoid of emotions. Beauty and the emo. He'd simply forgotten how to express them in his extended solitude. So I think he was in that moment in a state of complete panic. She had, after all, just assaulted him with a stream of incomprehensible declarations. That knowing the truth, she still wished to remain in the mansion, and that knowing the truth, she loved him. The love she had declared for Michel was not a fleeting puppy love. There was genuine tenderness and warmth to her words. But he had gone through his life shunned, feared, pushed away. To him, that was normal. He had never given anyone reason to have any fondness for him, so he found himself utterly unsure how to take affection she was showing. Of course, he was not the only one rattled by the whole affair. Oh dear. Several days had passed since Michel had asked for time to think. He had still yet to show himself again. This is all my fault. The white-haired girl paced anxiously through the halls on the off chance she might run into him. As per his request, though, she kept her distance from his chambers. Nevertheless, she was beginning to worry about the fact that he had secluded himself away for so long. So she worked up her courage and made her way to his room. What if he doesn't want to see me ever again? I didn't consider I might be overstepping my bounds before opening my mouth. Every step she took was slow and laborious. Her mind raced with worry and doubt. I should at least tell him I'm sorry. Rather than out of a desire to know how he felt, she was compelled by guilt and a desire to apologize. After walking for some time, she arrived at a door sitting in an utterly unlit hallway. She drew in a breath of musty air, then let it out, repeating the process several times. Next, she reached her hand up to knock on the door, then pulled it back, also doing this a number of times. Oh, how adorable she was. I wanted nothing more than to give her a little nudge. After all, she was too sweet a girl for her worries to be anything but misplaced. Let's discuss something. In every other story, the maid was there. In every other story, the maid was a part of the tale. And she's just said that she was there. But where was she? We haven't seen her anywhere. Michelle's alone. So where is the maid that claims she saw how adorable the girl was? I just can't find the courage. Maybe I should come back another day. But what's the point of waiting? I need to apologize and get the weight off his back now. She gathered her courage once more, this time determined she would do it. The white-haired girl moved her small fist toward the door, which then swung open. I'm sorry. Please, you must announce your presence. I almost walked right into you. Are you in that much of a hurry for a mishap? I'm sorry. And I believe I told you to stay away from my chambers. You did, so I spent a long time debating whether I would, but I decided I really wanted to tell you this. Oh, well, actually, I'm truly sorry. What? The other day, I could barely manage to get the words in my head all the way to my mouth. There was no room in my mind for anything else. I shoved my own thoughts and feelings into your face, not considering that might not be what you wanted, just running non-stop, not thinking at all. I was terribly disrespectful to you, completely selfish. You're a kind-hearted man, I truly believe that. But you were only being courteous because you're a nice man. I'm sure you have little interest in the affections of a queer little girl. So, I would love it if I could stay here. It would be a wonderful blessing. But if you really don't want me here, if my feelings are imposing upon you, then I apologize. I'm sorry, and I'll take my leave of this house. I'm sorry. Don't be. My mind went blank for a moment. What? I find it difficult to comprehend you. The other day you were firm in your intentions to stay, and now you say you'll leave without a struggle. You holed up in your room for so long that I thought, you didn't want me around. To be honest, I want to stay here, I do. I think you should do whatever pleases you. Huh? You can stay, or you can leave. I will not pressure you to do one or the other. So I'm not imposing? To tell you the truth, I had to think about that for some time. However, I have now come to something of a solution. Since you're here, come into my room. Huh? But I thought I wasn't allowed to prevent what almost happened a few moments ago, so we don't accidentally run into each other. Sorry. You're forgiven. Now come in. Okay. Is this a necklace? If that's what it looks like to you, then I suppose that means I succeeded. Pick it up. Ah. It has a little bell. It's adorable. Phil predicted it. Please, make an effort to wear that while you're in the house. Because it's so dark, there will always exist the risk that we might accidentally bump into one another. So I tried to come up with a way to reduce that risk. Does that mean you didn't leave your room because you were working on this? That's right. What other reason would I have? I think most people would assume it was because they had put you in a bad mood or that you didn't want to see them. I have little sense of how most people see the world. Sorry. I appreciate it, though. I'm really glad to know that you put so much thought into a life together with me. Don't they just seem a little too great? Think about how in the first 3 stories, inevitably everything went wrong because of human failings, because of human flaws. Things like selfishness, or avoiding the truth, or, you know, just having problems. Neither of these characters really seem to have character flaws, do they? It would be difficult not to after the other day. I'm so happy right now. I can't think of any better word to describe it. I couldn't be happier. You're being dramatic. To tell you the truth, I feel a little bad about it. Let you have nice things. I can't! Not when they're lies, Phil! They're lies! Why? It seems rather impertinent to affix a bell to someone. You're not livestock, you're a person. That's why you turned it into a necklace. Thank you very much. I'll keep it on me at all times. I really truly appreciate it, Lord Michel. Don't call me Lord, please. Alright then, I'll just call you Michel. And will you please call me Giselle? The windows. What? If we could open the windows. Never mind. I was just thinking you wouldn't need the bell at all if we could get some light in here. They can't be opened? They're rusted shut. All the windows have been shuttered for as long as I've been here. I assumed you'd boarded them all up. That was done long before I ever arrived. After so many years here, though, I hardly consider it an inconvenience anymore. It also serves to repel wanderers. Oh, really? Is there something odd about that? No. It's just, I realized I had the wrong impression about a number of things. The game likes names that rhyme, apparently. Isn't that curious? Because that makes it very easy to confuse whose name is who. No, it's just, as I learn more, I see things in a different light. See you in a different light. And I'm sure there's still plenty more for me to learn. Of all the people I have ever met, you are perhaps the most difficult to predict. Not only do you have no aversion to the darkness, the dark has always been a close friend of mine. Which isn't to say I dislike the sun. Its light can simply be a bit too strong for me. I'm like some kind of unholy monster that can't be exposed to sunlight. Where did... Gandalf, are you sitting on my... Okay, Gandalf. You're anything but unholy. My name would suit you. Much better than me. That day, when I first saw Giselle, I was wary of her, apprehensive. I didn't want her anywhere near me. But as my doubts about her faded, I began feeling something very different. As though the lump in my heart had been melted away. I began to yearn for her to be at my side, knowing full well it couldn't possibly last. Knowing full well how foolish it was. I found myself captivated by her. I found myself wishing to have her stay with me. Okay, there's no blanks here, but yeah, the screen keeps freaking out, the image is faded. Doesn't that look like the ghost we saw in the bedroom? Yeah, there's some weird, crunchy, yummy... change. I wonder what that was, y'all. I wonder why these memories seem to be corrupted. I wonder. And that marked the true beginning of their quiet days together in the dark mansion. They acknowledged and accepted each other's presence, no longer isolating themselves, but actively, regularly conversing. As mundane as it might seem, it was something they had been unable to attain until then. Nevertheless, they were still somewhat fumbling around in the dark with one another, drawing closer and pushing away again. Michel, in his own ungraceful way, was beginning to open himself up to the things she said, and the white-haired girl was beginning to smile with greater frequency. They had taken to dining together, and her wish of learning to read was being granted. He taught her in the feeble light of a candle placed upon the table, the two sitting across from one another. Though Michel seemed to be well educated, he had not been instructed in the art of teaching, so he found the process quite grueling. But to the white-haired girl, the longer it took, the better. Her primary objective was, after all, to spend time with him. The days passed, and eventually she reached the point where her comprehension was adequate enough without assistance. Her next request, then, was for them to read a book together. Have you read every book in the library? No, I stopped looking at them after a while. Most everything I'm sent is dull, uninformative dreck. The Diary of a Lord, foolish make-believe tales. You're not fond of fiction, I take it. What value is there in the lies and fantasies of another? What value is there in the lies and fantasies of another? Stories can be invigorating. Tales of adventure can take you places you could never go. Legends of heroes, folklore, stories of otherworldly phenomena. They can be terrifying and they can be exhilarating. They may not be real, but they give you a little glimpse into the author's heart. You feel like you're seeing the same thing they saw. You are a very empathetic girl. Fiction inspires nothing of the sort in me. However, perhaps long ago it may have been able to, though I can no longer remember what it feels like. I'm sure it'll come back to you. You're not an empty man. Sorry, I'm making you uncomfortable again. How about we read this book today? She's almost too perfect in every story and is always the victim. I don't trust it. It appears to be a collection of legends. You haven't read this one yet, then? That's good to hear. It'll be more enjoyable if it's a new experience for both of us. It looks like it's a record of local legends. This book is divided into several sections, though it appears to be mostly superstitions. I am curious what kind of stories this area has. The two of them were looking down at a simple, undecorated volume. As the white-haired girl had said, it seemed to be a collection of local legends passed down generation to generation. They sat across from one another at the table, her turning the pages and Michel simply watching so as not to brush against her. Eventually, her eyes were drawn to a particular word on one of the pages, bringing her hands to a stop. The witch. That chapter detailed the story of a witch, or more precisely, said witch's curse. Let's take a look at her. Ooh. The story went something like this. There once was a witch skilled in the dark arts. She lived in a meager but peaceful life with the other villagers. But then a long, long drought struck the village, which the people blamed on the witch. The witch was sentenced to death, and as the fire blazed around her, smoke rose high into the air. The smoke soon became rain clouds, blessing the village with an end to the drought. The crops were revitalized, and the villagers fancied themselves heroes. However, the rain also brought madness upon the people. Ashley's got the right idea. This is not a game you can trust. Though the earth below them was lush and fertile, the villagers were losing their minds, and they eventually began to take each other's lives. The witch still lived on in the form of a curse. Many fell victim to the witch's curse. Though it did not only take, it also fulfilled people's desires. The villagers had gone mad, but their wish for freedom from the drought had been granted. Thus the legend has been passed down as follows. The witch will grant your wish in exchange for a great sacrifice. As smoke in the sky, she watches down upon us from above. To reach the witch, climb for the heavens, but know that road is a road to destruction. Mel got his wish and fell in love, but his sister went mad. The Beast found peace, but accidentally killed the woman he loved. The merchant had power and glory, but accidentally drove his wife mad. Seems like everybody got what they wanted in a really horrible way. People still believe the witch's legend even now, I suppose. And that's why I face accusations of being a witch. This is not an area very welcoming to outsiders, especially one who stands out as much as you. What brought you to this region in the first place? Mine is a story I'm sure you've heard before. I was cast out of my house. I come from a very poor family. We could barely even afford to keep everyone fed. Being as weak as I am, it was only natural that I would be the first to go. I see. What I don't understand, though, is why the witch is said to grant people's wishes. That is to say, she had reason enough to hold a grudge, but not to give people things they asked for. All we have to go on is a few pages. There's no saying what might have been changed or added over time, and it's almost certain the entire legend isn't written here. That said, if we were to accept everything as written, you can infer what the witch's reason might have been. And that is, if you truly want it that much, you can have it, but I'll make certain your suffering outweighs it. Despair that comes after a moment of happiness is far more agonizing than despair alone. I presume that is why the witch decided to grant people's wishes. That is one way to look at it. May I ask you something? Go on. When I first arrived here, you told me that a cursed witch used to live in this mansion. After reading this legend, I'm now finding it hard to believe you made that up simply to scare me away. I appropriated the tale, nothing more. It's said the witch was born in this house. What? Quite the place my family found for me. But it was a clever decision putting me here, I think. Not many people are likely to come near a house with such a pedigree. But... no, never mind. That makes sense. I suspect I know what she was going to say then. If the witch is said to grant wishes, then wouldn't that also attract people who so desperately want something they do not care what price they must pay? And perhaps she was correct. Perhaps there had been those who had come to the mansion chasing after the legend. And perhaps they had encountered Michel, touched him, and lost their lives. On that day in the garden, he had said, "Many things are buried here." Perhaps that included such visitors. I wonder if that story might be more than mere superstition. If the Witch of Legend really did exist, what would you do? It might be nice to talk to her, maybe. That's all, really. I feel a little bad for her, though. The only people who ever visit her are there to ask for something, after all. I can only imagine just how lonely that must be. I swear, I cannot comprehend the way your mind works. Sorry. Although, if we assume the legend is true, I have an idea what climb for the heavens might mean. Oh? The mansion has an observation tower. Or I suppose what used to be an observation tower. At any rate, it's quite a tall structure. That is, this is the house where the witch was supposedly born. A tower reaching for the heavens seems like the perfect place to find her, if she really is here. Oh yes, I remember seeing a rather tall structure as I first approached the mansion. Would you like to see it? Of course. Please lead the way. The two of them left the library and made their way to the room with the stained glass window. At the far end of that room were the stairs to the observation tower. The tale of the witch had piqued the white girl's I mean, she's also a white girl. The white-haired girl's interest, inspiring her to put herself forward to satisfy that curiosity. She had, after all, been accused of being a witch herself, so she undoubtedly felt an affinity to the legend. The white-haired girl granted the wish in every story and was also the direct cause of tragedy in each tale. True. Remember this. The white-haired girl suffered too. Remember, in each tale, she was murdered, she was attacked, she was driven insane. The white-haired girl suffers too. Big hint. What a sweet girl she was. With Michel in the lead, the two of them climbed a long spiral staircase. There were many more stairs than the white-haired girl had anticipated, and she soon found herself short of breath. Rectangular windows were carved out of stone in regular intervals. Peering through one of them, she could see a village in the distance. A pleasantly cool, high-altitude breeze brushed her face. After much climbing, they finally arrived at the top, where a door made of partially rotten wood stood. Michelle pulled open the door, revealing a small room with no windows or doors in sight. Recognize this image? Because we've seen it before. This is the top of the tower? Despite it being called an observation tower, you could hardly observe anything from there. Her face contorted in confusion. The white-haired girl threw her gaze about the room. Glancing up, she saw only a darkened ceiling, and slightly below it, a single small window through which shone a little ray of light. The beam cleaved through the darkness like the sharpened blade of a beautiful sword. The darkness draped over the rest of the room only served to make more impressive that solitary ray of light. It had a magical fairy tale quality to it. As if being pulled in by it, she drew towards the light. I suspect there was once a large window in this room. If you look closely, you can see seams in the stone on the wall. The color of the stone differs slightly on either side of the seams. I presume something caused them to seal off the window after it was built. Though I don't know what that something might be. When Michelle's eyes fell upon the white-haired girl wrapped in that beam of light, he sputtered to a stop. The man who never flinched at anything, who had long since distanced himself from such stirrings of the heart, was utterly bewitched. He had never seen her illuminated so vividly before, and he was having a great deal of trouble finding the words to describe her striking beauty. For someone who had been chased out of her home and accused of being a witch, the white-haired girl looked less like a practitioner of the dark arts and more like one of the host of heaven. Michel undoubtedly felt the same way, for his gaze was fixed firmly upon her. Dazzling, isn't it? Like a staircase leading to heaven. Yes, perhaps so. Is something the matter? No, I'm fine. You know, it feels like there's something odd in the air here. Lynn Griffin! It feels like someone actually might be listening. If the witch here were to speak to you, what would you say to her? I would ask her to tell me her true feelings. To tell me what kind of person she was and what kind of pain she had to endure. I just want to know what she felt, this woman people branded a witch. The legend was written from a neutral perspective. It's possible she was a fearsome witch. It's also possible she wasn't. I get the feeling she was just persecuted, like me. Like me and you. Unlike you, I truly am impure. Yeah, the weird thing about her ear is that the inner thing juts out really far. It's a weird design choice, but the image is still really pretty. I follow the artist on Twitter. They're really talented. Moya Taro, I think is the name. Disagree all you want, but my touch kills. I'm a strange, incomprehensible, irrational creature. Or maybe I'm not even a living being, and that's why when I touch something that is, I bring them death. If only I actually were a witch. If only I actually had some kind of extraordinary power, regardless of whether it came from God or the devil, then I would be able to grant people's wishes. My wish need not be granted. But it's what I want too. I wish to be able to touch you. I would be perfectly content with nothing changing, with us never being able to touch one another. I would be more than happy with that. But I'm allowed to dream, aren't I? It doesn't have to be in this life. I pray the day will come that we can get closer, even if it has to happen in another life. Happiness is very much a stranger to me, but am I allowed to dream too? You are. I will never touch you, I swear it, but I would like to dream about it. I would like to imagine placing my hand upon your cheek. You can. Reach your hand out for me. I will imagine it too. I am imagining your fingers running through my hair, brushing up against my skin. I can feel your warmth. There was a wall between them, a wall they could not cross, for if they did, it would mean the white-haired girl's death. No matter how much they yearned for it, they could not touch one another, so they did so within the confines of their imagination, envisioning it as much detail as they could imagine. It was sad but sweet, a moment of pristine, untainted beauty. The two of them emanated serenity, as fitting as the word cursed might have been to the mansion as a whole. At the top of the observation tower, a pure bond was being shared. Are these two the ones that deserve to be happy? Oh, we'll find out. A fleeting moment between a young man with a curse touched, and a beautiful, kind-hearted girl. The dream did not last long, no, for God is quite cruel. They simply wanted to be together, that was all. Their wish was hardly unreasonable. Only a quiet, peaceful life together. But misfortune was creeping ever nearer, its footsteps growing more and more pronounced. The setup in this story is completely different, isn't it? Nobody's making any flawed decisions, nobody's being an asshole. Seems strange. Is someone at the door? The flow of time was hazy within the mansion's walls. They had little way of telling whether it was night or day, preventing them from knowing exactly how much time had passed. The white-haired girl had a habit of climbing the observation tower every so often to see whether the sun was up, which allowed her to approximate the time of day. Consequently, when she heard the knock on the door, she was not aware just how deep the night was outside, that forest and beast alike lay quietly at rest. Oh right, the stores in the cellar are almost exhausted. It must be this month's delivery. Witch hunters at the door. Oh yeah, knock knock. Witch hunters! Bring out your witch! Not thinking it was worth bothering Michelle over, she made her way out of her chamber and headed for the entrance. There had only been a single knock, leading her to conclude that as before, the servant had simply left the box outside the door. So without a second thought, she opened the door, and there she saw a strange, vagrant man standing in the moonlight. His clothes were tattered, his bearded face bony and emaciated. She gasped, shrieking back several paces. The heavy door began to swing shut, but the man forced it open, glaring down at her with unfocused eyes and mumbling, "Are ye the witch that'll grant people's wishes?" It was in that moment that the white-haired girl realized she had been careless. The man had sought out the mansion because he believed the legend of the witch, and he did not seem particularly right of mind either, perhaps the result of wandering through the forest for several days. Or perhaps it was because he was so beaten down that he thought to ask for a witch's help. In a word, he seemed mad. No, there is no witch here. Sure there is, don't ye lie to me. I can hear the witch's voice. She led me to this house. I promise you there isn't. Now please, be on your way. Have ye any idea how long it took to find this place? How many days I've gone without food or water? And you're telling me to get lost? I don't know what you want from me. I'm happy to give you a little food, so please. Is there really no witch? There's no witch here. It's nothing but a legend. If she does exist, she doesn't live here. I see. Then that means you're just an ordinary person. Just a person, just a girl. So there ain't a thing ye can do. No, get away from me. What are you doing? Why waste time waiting for ye to get me a little grub when I can just take it all? I'm starving here. I'm so hungry I could eat human. You're about to commit a grievous sin. Are you not ashamed to act in defiance of God? God? If I believed in God, would I come begging to a witch? I don't fear him, and I sure as hell don't fear people. Who's gonna show up at a house in the middle of nowhere? Who's gonna call me out? Who's gonna stop me? No one, that's who. That's who. No one's gonna stop me, and no one's gonna offer me salvation. Ah, there's a thought. You're a woman, so before I kill ye... What are you doing? What? There's other people here! The white-haired girl lay pinned on the floor beneath the yelling bandit, pleading for help with her ruby eyes. As soon as Michel grasped the situation, he tossed his candlestick aside and leapt for the man. The candlestick gave a sharp clang when it hit the floor. The impact extinguished the flame, bringing the mansion to near-perfect darkness. Something glinted in the bandit's hand, and then, without hesitation, he thrust it at Michelle. Michelle! How stupid must he be to come at me unarmed? In his hand, the man held a knife, its tip dripping with Michelle's blood. Red spilled from the gash in his arm, the flow growing heavier with each passing moment. You're the only other person here by the looks of it. Perfect, I'll take you both out. You... What? You don't appear to know whose house you tried to break into. What are ye on about? Regret your ignorance to your very last breath. You're messed in the head, you are, madman! Stay the hell back! Take one more step and... Excuse me. Oh, goodness. I inherited the witch's curse. Let go! Michelle clutched the man's face in one hand. The man raised his knife to strike back, but... What's happening? The strength drained from his fingertips, the knife falling to the floor. The man writhed in Michelle's grip. Me face! Me face! Leave this place immediately, though you won't get far afflicted with my curse. Ah! Yeah, good job, Michelle. Helpless to fight back, nay, helpless to even consider fighting back, the bandit fled from the mansion in terror. In his wake, only the white-haired girl and a bleeding Michelle remained. I just saw a man's life drained from him. His face withering away, sucked completely dry. I didn't doubt him, but dear God, that was quite disturbing for you, I'm sure. No, not at all. It's my fault anyway, if I hadn't been so careless. Oh, your arm! We need to get that wrapped up. Please, do not touch me. You mustn't touch me. The wound is hardly fatal. It's all my fault. I'm so sorry. No, a degree of the blame falls on me for saying nothing. Next time someone comes to the door, let me know. I'm sorry. Please, you don't need to apologize. Well, yes? For once, I'm actually proud of myself. Proud that I could use this terrible ability of mine to do something more than just take life. To protect someone I care about. So like I said, please don't apologize. Alright, thank you. Michelle? I'm glad you're here. I care about you too. Thank you. Had the flame of Michelle's candle not gone out when he threw it to the floor, he would have seen a heartfelt smile on the white-haired girl's face, and she would have seen a flush of red and an awkward smile on Michelle's normally blank face. He also might have seen a little glimmer on her cheek, where a few drops of his blood had landed. But alas, they had no light. The collapse of their happiness came slowly, gradually. Perhaps it was because she had touched his blood instead of his skin, but the deterioration of the white-haired girl's health crept along at a relaxed pace. The life was not sucked out of her in a blink of an eye, as it had been from the bandit. She merely grew progressively less and less healthy. Amidst her physical decay, she was bestowed with one blessing. Her beauty remained untouched. But as far as blessings went, surely there were others she could have been granted. Could God not have picked something a little better for her? By the time the two of them realized what was happening, it was already too late. The white-haired girl had grown so weak she could hardly leave her bed. Yes? Oh, you are there. I am. Thank goodness. I can't see very well anymore. How could this happen? I thought I had saved you, but no, I did the exact opposite. Please, don't talk that way. You did save me that day. But you're on the cusp of death now, and it's my fault. Because of this curse I bear. How could this happen? Why did this have to happen? What am I? Why was I given this body? Michelle. Can I, ask you a favor? Go ahead. Stay with me, please. As much as you can, until the very end. I was going to do as much anyway. Thank you. I'm happy, Michelle. Happier than I've ever been. And I mean that. You didn't just save my life. You saved me. I've been saved, but only me. I wonder how he'll handle things when I'm gone. If only I hadn't opened the door that day. I wouldn't be leaving him all alone, and we could be happy together for even longer. Yes. Would you please hold my hand? I think it's probably safe now. I will not. I cannot touch you. If I do, I might take what remains of your life. Take your beauty away and force you to die hideous. I cannot touch you. Owned. Her. On his way back from the washroom several days later, Michel heard muffled voices. Got it? Kill him good. He was having trouble making out what they were saying, but he could tell it was several men and they were outside the front door. The fact that he could hear them at all through the heavy door meant they were probably shouting quite loudly. An indescribable sense of unease came over him. Dread. He drew nearer to the door and focused on the voices on the other side. They grew clearer, enough for him to make out what the men were saying. Everything's in place. We're ready to kill this witch now. This is definitely the place. That half-dead bandit said she was in this mansion. Listen well, no matter what we find in there, we kill it. It could be a child for all I care. That doesn't change anything. Kill the witch! Kill the witch! Kill the witch! What he heard beyond the door was a group of men shouting for the death of the witch. In that moment, Michel regretted his decision to let the bandit go free and not watch over him until the moment of his demise. He must have made his way down to the village in search of help, where he revealed what he had found at the mansion. Damn it! But it was too late. Regret would solve nothing. He could neither stop the villagers from raiding the house, nor could he stop the white-haired girl from dying to the effects of his curse. He was helpless to do anything. The gears of his fate had locked him onto a path of tragedy and were turning mercilessly forward. The men had begun trying to break down the door with what sounded like a battering ram. While the first strike was not enough to breach the barrier, it was still quite powerful. He was certain it would not hold for long. Michel's mind raced. Was there anything he could do about this predicament? How could he escape from the corner he had been backed into? Despite his possessing inhuman powers, he would be powerless against a full mob of adult men. The villagers almost certainly came armed as well. Michel! A weak voice came from behind him. Aghast, he spun around to find the white-haired girl stumbling toward him. She breathed heavily, leaning against columns for support. What are you doing out here? You'll only worsen your condition by exerting yourself. I had a sinking feeling, and I heard noises on my way here. It seems that I have brought all my misfortune upon you. Don't say that. If I hadn't come here, this never would have happened. You never would have been in any danger. Please, Michel, hand me over to the men outside. Absolutely not. I will do no such thing. They're here for the witch, aren't they? I'm guessing they're the same people who were chasing me before. The village had a poor harvest this year, I hear. Like the village in the legend. And they believe it's the witch's curse. But you're not a witch! They need someone to fill the role, though. So please, hand me over, and then escape on your own. I could never. Please, Michel. I'm the one who's cursed, not you. And you want me to hand you over? What would I have left then? Nothing. Not a thing. I would have nothing. After so long, I finally found someone who isn't afraid of me, who won't run. I have no interest in a world that would take you away from me, make me live alone once more. To hell with such a world. Michel? Would you be willing to die with me? If that's what you wish, then stay with me until the very end. I probably wanted to hear that just as much as him. No, not probably. I did. I wanted to have someone at my side as much as him. It's so lonely not having anyone. To live alone, to die alone, to not have anyone watching over you. for no one to even know you're dead. I simply wanted someone to tell me they're here for me, to be there, to hold my hand. How wonderful that would be. The sense of utter relief it would bring would be enough to cast away all the pain, to allow me to accept all our suffering. So please, tell me you'll... Michelle and the white-haired girl chose to spend their final moments at the top of the observation tower. They could hear the crash of the battering ram against the door, the shouts of the men and their stomping feet. But despite all that, the ray of light shining through the little window was as beautiful as always. The room's air of serenity remained unimpeached. After the long climb to the top, the white-haired girl was terribly out of breath. Michelle considered several times offering her his hand, but the possibility that doing so might rob her of her last scraps of life stayed his hand. Sounds like they broke down the door. I'm glad we made it up here when we did. I'm so sorry for asking this of you. Don't be. I would have chosen here for my final moments as well. This is the one place in this mansion with any sunlight. The one place I can get a good look at you. Thank you. I'm truly glad that I was able to end up here. That I was able to meet you. And more than anything, that you said you cared about me. Have I managed to become an essential part of your life? Do you even need to ask? I wouldn't be here otherwise. I feel the same way as you. I'm sure of it. The two of us are more similar than you probably care to admit. Can I ask you one more thing? Go on. Would you embrace me? If this is to be the end, if this is to be my last chance, then I don't want it to end without having been able to touch you. Please, don't refuse me this, Michelle. Just do it, please. I won't keep you waiting long. Thank you. The truth is, I always wanted this. I dreamed of being able to hold you. I dreamed of it too. Thank you. I'm so very... She's still so beautiful. What a cruel joke. Could you not have given us some other miracle? One that would allow us both to survive? Where are you? Where'd you get off to? I can't find her, damn it! Hey, there's some stairs over here. They lead up! Beneath the single ray of light, the white-haired girl lay completely still. Not even a frail sigh escaped her closed lips. She remained as gorgeous as ever. It was as though she had simply fallen asleep in the sunlight. Looking down upon her, Michelle determined to do one thing. I will not allow anyone to sully this sight. He gave a fleeting glance back at her pristine corpse, then opened the door and stepped through it alone. He would protect that room where she lay. Hey, there's someone up here! So this is where you've been hiding, you infernal witch! Wait, that's not the girl! The raucous sound of their footsteps rang up from below. Shortly thereafter, the men themselves came into view. As he had expected, they were heavily armed. He glowered at the men, then sucked in a deep breath and shouted at the top of his lungs, I am the witch you seek. I have inherited her curse, and it is I who brings calamity upon you. You hear that? But he's a man or woman, it doesn't matter. Death to anyone who has ties to the witch. Cleanse this earth of all impurity. Kill him! Kill him! Michelle did not flinch at the sight of the men. He stood unyielding between the door and them. He did not flinch when they raised their weapons against him, nor when they pierced his body. Die and take your curse with you. I have no need for this life any longer. It's all yours. I am cursed to kill even that which I wish to protect. But, at the very least, I can protect one thing before my life is done. Not even one of you will leave this place. Wither and die by my curse. The blood spilling from his skewered body flowed down the stairs, down and down like a little river, soaking the feet of every single man who had stormed the mansion. This was the last thing he saw before the final grains of life slipped between his fingers, which brought a faint smile to his lips. Neither of them had expected what happened next, though, for God has a most twisted sense of humor. The white-haired girl had not miraculously passed away without being robbed of her beauty. Why am I still alive? She had rather not passed away at all. Quite cruel of him, was it not? Michel? Where have you gone, Michel? Michel! I smell blood. For he had allowed her to die, she would not have been made to witness the scene that awaited her. No, no! And I am sure you know just what she laid eyes upon in that moment. The ravaged corpse of her beloved. A torrent of blood streaming down the spiral staircase, and the sickening stench it raised. No! Why? And his was not the only body. The villagers who had assaulted the mansion had been subjected to his curse, the life drained from their withered shells. Why did this? Michel, why? Why am I the only one still alive? That is a question I cannot answer either. Perhaps his curse did not afflict those he loved, as terribly cruel as that might be. I cannot say. Why? You said we would go together. A world without you has no meaning. Had she actually expended her life there in the room at the top of the tower, perhaps this tale could have had a happy ending. She would have at least been able to have the man she loved at her side until her very last moments upon this earth. But that was not what had transpired. She had survived, been left utterly alone. I felt a profound pity for the miserable girl, so I called out to her. Would you like to see him once more? What? I have the power to help you meet him again. Who's there? Where are you? You know what they call this mansion. So who do you suppose remains on these grounds? No way. You're from the legend. You actually exist. Now I ask you a simple question. Would you like to see him again? The witch grants people's wishes, but at a price. I said I wouldn't ask for her assistance if I met her. But that's all changed, now that I've lost him. If it's truly possible, then yes, I want to see him. Bring him back to life. Regrettably, I cannot directly meddle with the forces of life and death. However, I can guarantee you this. Your reconstruction. Reconstruction? Correct. To ensure that you remain as yourself in future lives and are not reborn as someone else, your body and mind shall be reconstructed, as shall his. If you sincerely wish to reunite with one another, if you genuinely need each other in your lives, you will eventually meet again. All I can promise you is eternal reconstruction. What you make of it is up to you. You want to see him again, don't you? You want to hear his voice again, don't you? You want to feel his hand on your cheek once more, don't you? If that's what you want, then you must remain who you are. If you are simply reborn, that wouldn't be you. So there wouldn't be any point, would there? Me as I am, and he as he is. Make up your mind quickly. I will not wait long. I want to see him again. As you wish, sweet little girl. I shall grant you both eternal reconstruction, and pray with all my heart that you can attain true happiness. Shortly thereafter, the white-haired girl took her own life. She decided she had nothing to gain by remaining in the present time, and that in order to reunite with Michel, she needed to make her way to her next life. And thus the mansion was left bereft of a master, to travel slowly through the ages until someone came along to give it life once more. But an unfathomable amount of time has passed, and the two have still yet to reunite. Have they, Master? You know now who you are, do you not? You remember everything now, do you not? You were present in every single era, the reason for which is as I described in the previous tale, because you yearned to be reunited with someone. But that person never showed up in any era. And poor sweet you, having no memory of any of that, lived those lives with other men. Is it any surprise misfortune befell those eras then? The door swung closed. But rather than outside, the departed and the maid were inside the dull monochrome room at the top of the observation tower. The awe-inspiring ray of light shone not through the lone window, high upon the stone wall. Wrapped in a curious impenetrable darkness, they stood alone in the room. The maid wore a gentle but brutally cold smile as she looked straight at him. It is not your fault misfortune befell you. The only force to blame for that is fate. You were always so kind, so pure of heart. You had boundless trust for others and the goodness of people. You were the very image of all that is right. There is no greater misfortune than someone as pure and beautiful as you, being mercilessly thrown into the grinding gears of tragedy again and again. I still pity you for everything you had to go through, you poor, poor soul. You must be utterly exhausted, constantly betrayed, the man you were waiting for never appearing. After so long, your spirit worn down to the bone, you lost any and all awareness of who you even were. Who you were hoping to find wandering into this illusory mansion, cut off from the real world. You and I are the only ones here. The man you seek is nowhere to be found. Have you still not figured it out? Then allow me to tell you everything. I am the cursed witch Morgana who haunts this mansion, and you are the tragic plaything of fate, the white-haired girl named Giselle. Did my calling you master confuse you? If so, then I apologize. My habit of calling the master or mistress of the house master is quite deeply ingrained. And yes, that means precisely what you think it does. That I have accepted you as my new master. That I wish for you to remain here, to stay with me. So let us put an end to this journey. Do not worry, there is nothing to fear. We are simply going to step outside the river of time. Nothing unpleasant will ever happen to you again. I will be here with you for all eternity, and I will give you my utmost care. You will not have to wait for anyone. Forget about him, the man you once sought, and I am sure you shall find happiness. Please, do it for me. I have been waiting for you for so very long. I have wanted nothing more than to see you again. But you were continually stolen away from me, despite my sincerest desires to spend my days with you, which is why I wanted you to recall everything. For surely you would not willingly repeat the same fate if you knew of all the pain it has caused you to suffer thus far. Spend eternity with me, in the gentle embrace of darkness. The maid extended her hand for the departed. Her fingers, brushing up against his, were as cool as ever. But her breath tickled his skin pleasantly, and her sweet words rang in his ears, filling him with warmth. The departed thought back on his time with her in the mansion. She had indeed always treated him with great compassion, and nothing she had said seemed to be a lie. And so the departed pondered. What was he to do? What do you think? Is she telling the truth? Or is something wrong? Something seemed off. Not only with the story she had just told, with her, and with the departed himself. Assuming everything she said was the truth? Which or not, my mind is made up. Which will strike you first, I wonder, regret or the curse? You seem to be doing just fine. It's only a tale. The witch is real, very much so. It is not a legend nor fairy tale. The witch is me. That's the memory from the mirror. The real memory. That's right. It wasn't the white-haired girl who had claimed to be the witch. And that wasn't all. Or do you mean to reclaim your old self no matter the cost? If you do, if you're sincerely prepared to do that, then be wary of the tale that comes next. Any tragedy that seems too beautiful to be real is precisely that, a fabrication. None of his questions had been answered. He still didn't know who the painting was, or what had taken place so long ago that caused the mansion to summon people to it. The departed didn't even know who he was, for that matter. There was still more to be done. He had to find the truth. He needed to find someone, that much was certain. But was the story the maid told correct about whom? And if it was... what about her? What about the woman whose name he couldn't say? The woman who had so cheerfully called him master? We agreed that we would live together, not just in the same house, so we've got plenty of time to add more to the list. And I hope you can make your own list about me, too. This is just the beginning, after all. We've got a long, long time ahead of us. Plenty enough to get to know each other, no? He must say her name. He must take her hand. He must make her smile once again. You mustn't reclaim your old self. It's dark. Dark. It's dark. It's dark again. It's dark, 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 dark. Constantly engulfed in darkness. You threw it away every single time. I must break out of this darkness. I'll give you a world that's not cruel to you. I must escape and take her hand. Because that's the reason. Oh, I've got a wonderful idea. I came here. You can curse them with me. I must return. I must reclaim. We can think of new ways to torture them. We'll all be happier if you stay here. Just think about it. Stay here in this world. You'll be right at home. No, I did the best I could for you, nothing more. This is not where I belong. No matter how much a world of darkness may suit me, you'll never be able to do it. I must reclaim my true self. This is brilliant. Do you have any idea how terrible a decision that is? Do you have any idea why I fabricated that story? It was all for you. So stay here. Stay right where you are. The darkness suits you better. Remember when someone told you not long ago that you could handle the stories because they weren't your own? That you were able to bear the tragedies because they happened to others? If that had been your suffering, if the secrets you had kept buried away for so long had come out, you couldn't possibly have endured it. But you're a sharp one. I'm sure you intend to keep those secrets tucked away forever. Do you really think I'm going to let you do that, though? Whatever you try to hide, I'll make sure your beloved hears every last detail. How foolish can you be? Despite all my encouragement, you still insist on getting your old self back. What do you have to gain from that? Nothing but filthy, ugly tragedy awaits you down this path. Don't get your hopes up, my dear. There's nothing for you there. You have nothing. I'm offering you a place by my side. You should just take it. There is no salvation for you anywhere. None at all. Anywhere from anyone, ever. She has long since lost all grip on reality. And you think there's anything you can do for her now? Despite having repeatedly failed to even regain yourself. Well, I suppose if you're going to be stubborn, as much as I don't want to, I have to place a curse on your soul. That's right. The white-haired girl was never at the mansion. there is still a story left untold. What? The fourth door was all a lie. What do you mean? It was not some sweet little tragedy. The story you told was pure fantasy. No, that was the truth. That was where it all began. Because of what happened then, you spent innumerable years lost until you showed up here and... What? The departed reaches out, grasping for it. He pulls himself in. His silhouette, which has been hazy until now, begins to take form. His mind, his consciousness, his heart, his soul, and his body. Who are you? The veil in his mind dissipates. A crack forms in the shell encasing him, then another. The invisible shackles chaining his spirit fall to the floor. Reality fades in atop the indistinct, foggy world around him. Bony fingers appear before his eyes. Long hair. His voice. No. My voice. My body. My fingers. My arms are frail and my joints weak. But despite my resemblance to the white-haired girl, I am not her. This is who I am. I have finally reclaimed myself. You weren't waiting for the white-haired girl. You were waiting for me. And that's exactly why I came here. What? I have no idea what you're talking about. I have always waited for the white-haired. There was never a white-haired girl. There was only... This time I must say her name. She is Giselle. There was only you. I am Giselle? No, I am not Giselle. I am a servant of the house, and I am the witch, the cause. You are not a witch! The witch is someone else. Why do you insist that you're the witch? What changed you so much? The shadowy figure in the master bedroom, that was her. A glimpse into her past. I'm sure this is Giselle, but why is she so different? What happened to the spark she used to have? Where did the light she once shone upon the world go? I have to remember. I must remember. This cannot end until I have. This is no longer a story. No, what I need to face is my past. And her heart. She was not even present in the story she made up. Everything about it had been changed. The past I lived and the wounds she bore were more grounded in harsh reality, not wrapped up in a film of fairy tale magic. That was the final tale, and it was all true. That's how it happened. It was a bittersweet story. No, how can you not see this? Yes, it was a beautiful tragedy, but was there even a scrap of humanity in it? Behind the three preceding doors, there had been a constant thread of ugliness and conflicting motivations. But there was hardly a trace of that behind the fourth door. The characters felt like nothing more than characters. Is that who you want to turn into? Is that what you want our history to become? Our history? But I don't remember anything at all. You don't remember anything. No, I don't want to. I don't need a past or a future. All I have left inside me is uncertainty. Giselle. No, that is not my name. Please stop trying to confuse me. I'm fine with things the way they are. If it means I don't have to hurt, that's all I want. So please, just let me keep being the maid. Let me keep being a guide, not some foolish girl. Is that what she honestly desires? Does she want to cast aside her past for good? If so, then... So we're getting to it. She has repressed everything because it hurts so much. No matter what she says, I know I'm right. And if she doesn't reclaim her old self, I'll never get to hear her say my name again. I know I'm being selfish here, but I can't do that. If you're afraid of what you might find, we can remember together. I haven't gotten everything back yet myself. So let's open the real door together. There are no other doors to open. But there is. One that can only open by our hands because it exists between the two of us. Not a door with physical form, but the door to your heart. The door to... I grasp her unnaturally cold hand. A hand that once long ago had warmth. If she can't lead the way, then I have to. I must pick up the pieces of our erased history so we can both reclaim ourselves. Find the actual truth. No matter what we may uncover, I will not let go of this hand. No, I mustn't let go of it. Darkness falls over the world around us. The floor upon which we had been standing flickers out of existence, sending us dropping into an endless abyss. This dark pit, this is her door. Her history, her heart. Let's try this one more time. It's not a sweet story by any means. It's a story of betrayal, anger, hatred. We caused each other pain. But that's the road we traveled. And down that road lies all the answers. A lot's happened. A lot has happened. And we're done for the day. Hey! We're done. I'm dropping you all on a cliffhanger. That is all for now because I gotta go eat and do some things. Thank you all for joining me. It has been a twisty ride, hasn't it? So we've learned who we are and we've learned who Giselle really is. Yes, I know. I'm sorry, guys, but we gotta stop. We'll be back tomorrow at like 3-ish, 4-ish, depending on how fast I finish my work. Sorry, folks, but I think we've got a good stopping point there. We learned that there were more secrets to be found. We've figured out a few things, but there's still so much to learn, and it only gets worse from here, and then it'll get better eventually one day. Thank you all for joining me. And yeah, I think everyone's losing it. I think everyone's really mad at me right now. But thank you once again for joining me. Thank you to all the members, Delvin, Billy, Jeff, and everyone for supporting the channel. And I'll be back tomorrow in the morning with Silmarillion, and then in the afternoon with more story. More of this. I knew when I quit today, everyone would hate me. I knew it, but it's a good place to stop. The next story's pretty long, so I think it would take us a long time to get through, so we're gonna have to stop. I will see you guys next time.